Hey, hello everybody. Hi, Epi. Good to see you. Hope everyone's doing good. Let me shout out Ben real quick. We're back with more Elden Ring. Sorry for the lateness, by the way. Uh, I was been a busy day-ish for me and stuff, and then been doing some more Fortnite stuffs. But yeah, we are here. Night of the Wind. Do, do, do. Okay. I think this is the right scene. I hope it's the right scene. Yes, it is the right scene. Nice. Hi, Faye. Good to see you. How are you? Hope you're well. Hope you're doing well. Oh, but welcome everybody. We are back because not only uh we are back with Elden Ring, I'm back with Ben here and Def and myself on the call. And yeah, when he's ready, I'm sure he will appear. Not now, obviously, but hey. But yes, we're back. As you can see, we are having a serenading moment in the between a bonfire, questioning our choices and really deepening our bond in the shadow planes. So appreciate the look, Epi. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. I think you're working today, so thank you so much for the look. I appreciate it. Welcome in, Jax. Hello, 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 everybody. But yeah, happy Saturday. It's been a it's been an interesting day. I got new glasses, so that's nice. Hey, Jax, thank you so much for the gift of sub to Faye. Enjoy the ad-free viewing and emotes. Probably better if I put it up there. That's fine. But yeah, thank you very much, Jax. Thank you so much. Hope your day's been alright, Jax. Hope it's been good. And yeah, so yes, I picked up my new glasses today. I got a transitional pair, so they like react to sunlight. So if they randomly like turn dark, then just don't question it at all. It's fine. Yeah, I did that, and then got some help. There's some got some bits and pieces for my car because that's going in for MOT end of the month. So I had to grab bits and pieces, and my dad put them on because he's much better at mechanicking a car than I am. And yeah, and then had some food, had some Chinese takeaway, and yeah, and then just play some Fortnite for a little bit. That's in between, in between then and now, and then yeah, tested the me and Ben just tested the update, the co-op mod, just to make sure everything's all good to go, and it is. So, and here we are. So sorry, I'm like an hour late than usual. But yeah, that's kind of where we are. Pardon me. That is where we are at the moment. Oh, pardon me. You just had a pizza from Domino's. Ooh, what pizza did you get? What toppings? I do like a Domino's pizza, but they are expensive. They cost money. Texas barbecue. Ooh, good flavor. That's one of my go-tos. To be fair, I do like me barbecue base. Like a barbecue based pizza is real nice. It is real nice. Can't lie. Cannot lie. Yeah, just waiting on. Normally it's me that undeafens last, but it's Ben's turn today. But yeah, I need to click on the game for it to actually work. So yeah, I think what we did last was... Didn't we fight a... No, we didn't fight Dragon. That wasn't... No, it wasn't Bale. It was... Oh, it was the guy in the library that... Yeah, it was all, like, fucking Resident Evil shit. Yeah. I remember now. Yeah, that was fun.
Remember what?
I'll try to remember what we did last. And it was that, like, spooky...
Oh, yeah. Mr. Murderman's.
Yeah, Mr. Red Maze.
Into the horror swamp.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I figured today we'll do something a little less anxiety-inducing. Hopefully. I figured I scarred you enough last week.
Yeah, that was that. I nearly erased it from my memory, then I remembered, and I was like, ah.
Like, do you see how awesome that is, though? Like, it was so cool. Like,
Yeah.
as terrifying as it is, it's a fucking killer experience. Like, the fact that they actually put something like that in this game of all games.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they did that, it's like, it shows that this game is like actually almost like not. It's more than one genre almost.
Yeah.
With when they put that in, because that is like survival horror where you can't, no matter what you do to the.
Absolutely, it's literally like they just decided we want to have Metal Gear Solid meets like classic horror.
Yeah.
Fucking supernatural horror shit. Like, they legitimately were just like, hey, if you need a break from getting your shit pushed in, why don't you go shit in the woods by being terrified? Like,
yeah, if you're physically,
so you shit yourself out there.
Yeah, like, if you're physically broken, how about you get mentally broken instead?
Well, that's the thing is fucking unfortunately, the DLC can mentally break like everybody.
Of course. That how we do.
Let me see something real quick here. I just need to check an audio setting.
Yeah, no worries. But, oh. Okay. I still got the dual swords.
Yeah.
Just checking. In. Is audio okay, everybody? The game audio fine? Is Ben okay?
Updated for me as well, so that's why, because they changed some shit that I haven't messed with in a while. Check real quick and everything.
So sad. Why is this so satisfying?
What, the swords?
Yeah, it's just like, I just feel.
They're so good, dude.
They're just so good.
So good. Alright, there we go. Now say something.
Hello.
Okay, perfect.
Nice.
I think I got it squared away now.
Awesome.
Peace.
Sounds good.
So, and hopefully, chat, hopefully you guys can let me know if there's any kind of weird echo or anything like that. Like I said, OBS decided it wanted to shit the bed this morning and update like 10 minutes before stream.
Oh yeah, I had an update as well. Was it 2.3? I think it was.
Something like that.
Yeah, I looked quickly and it was like, if you have a NVIDIA graphics card, you might need to update. And I was like, I don't have that, so that's fine. I don't need to worry about pressing install now.
Yeah.
I just press install now.
Yeah, I have an NVIDIA graphics card.
Yeah.
But
I think it's something to do with
anyways, because I figured,
Yeah.
fuck it, I'll get it done and over with and like out of the way now, as opposed to worrying about it fucking shit up later.
Yeah, I'm actually genuinely shocked. Like, I know this is touching wood, like, quite a bit.
Yeah.
But, like, a lot of people I know, they're like, oh my god, OBS just keeps crashing for me, and it's just terrible. And I'm like, I've never experienced that problem.
Like, have you updated it? And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, there's your problem.
It's like, oh, this...
Update the 10-year-old software, it not gonna work well goodly.
It's like, oh yeah, it doesn't work. I've updated, it doesn't work. And it's like, yeah, because you probably left it for like 6 months to a year, and then like all the plugins don't work anymore.
Update OBS like every month. It's absurd.
Because I saw like the change logs.
Thank you for the resub.
Oh no, Jax is having my inner thoughts. Hold on.
I wonder if I should annoy Ben Edgehouse by
God.
running off a cliff 50 times to kill myself in Elden Ring. I'm not sure if I want to annoy Mr. Ben
What
Edgehouse. fuck it, I'll run off a cliff, screw the consequences.
I wonder if I should annoy Ben by running off a cliff 50 times to kill myself in Elden Ring. I'm not sure if I want to annoy Ben. Fuck it. I'll run off a cliff. Screw the consequences. But the way my AI voice just went, fuck it.
Fuck it.
just fucking sent me.
Yep.
Thank you for that, Jax. Appreciate it.
Oh my god. Fucking, I hate the new Twitch mobile so goddamn much.
Dude.
It is so annoying that I can't just fucking 2 button presses pull up my creator dashboard on mobile anymore. It is so goddamn annoying.
I was on a stream, right? I was watching somebody stream, and then literally like 5 minutes, I'm just watching on my phone, and all of a sudden it just goes boop, and then it just puts me on a random person's stream, and I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, huh? I was like, this is
the first time I've heard of that happening since that's this god awful update. It's so bad.
I was like, what the fuck?
I thought it couldn't get any worse before, but they were like, bet, hold my beer.
But at least like the old update was just fine.
Dumped the beer all over the computer that had all of the spaghetti code for Twitch mobile on it. I don't understand how they have continuously managed to make it worse with every update. It's baffling. Like it's astounding how fucking horrible Twitch mobile is.
Also, have you tried Twitch Stories? Because I can't post anything on Twitch Stories anymore.
I haven't tried it in a while. I tried it like once or twice, and I was like, I still don't give a shit about this. I'm not an Instagram
I know.
guy. I don't do
it worked the first few times.
Really, like ever anymore. So I'm just like,
fuck it, exactly.
Fucking, I don't give a shit about this, and nobody else does either. Like,
no,
nobody
exactly.
cares. They're still gonna go to Instagram for shit like that. So
yeah, but because I like it worked for a bit, and then all of a sudden, like 2 weeks ago,
I've seen some of the pings for yours.
I went to do it, and it was like unable to upload. Try again, and I was like, okay. And I was like, okay, maybe because I'm streaming, it's like buffering a little bit. And I was like, okay, so I did it on like mobile data, and it was like unable to. And I was like, yeah. So I was like, okay, maybe it's just a one-off.
Exactly.
And then like I did it the next day, and it was like unable. I was like, fuck this. I'm like, no. Like every time I try now, it's just like it just won't work. So I'm like, okay, so not only am I getting sent to different streams now randomly.
The Twitch mobile, like I said, it's spaghetti code at this point. It's literally
it is awful.
As bad as like Destiny 2 was with the fucking spaghetti code. It's a mess. It is such a fucking mess that it's not even funny like to laugh at anymore. It's just it's horrible. It's so horrible.
Because before it was like, okay, sometimes like the mobile app, it would like say like, oh, reconnecting to chat, and it's like, oh, okay, whatever, I have to reload it, that's fine. But I could, if I wanted to check, see who else is online, I could just like swipe down, so it's in a little corner, and I can scroll through, and it's high viewers to low viewers, so I know. But now it's just like, okay, you can't have picture in picture, and the people that you're watching, it's in a random order, so good luck. I was like,
exactly. And also my live following list has people on it that aren't people I'm following, and sometimes not even people that are live. Like on my live following list, the other day it literally put Amaranth at the top as like, here's your recommendation for you, and I'm like, no, I have Skankaranth blocked. Like, why is she in my recommended list? I don't want anything to do with that whore. Why the fuck is she on my recommended list?
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. I do still watch Twitch on my phone when I'm going out, since my phone is used a lot. Yeah. No, I mean, hell, when I first started watching Twitch, like when COVID happened, 95% of it was on my phone. Because you'd be like, oh, I'm going to bed, and I was like, okay, I'll watch somebody on Twitch for a little bit. It's like, okay, cool.
I've ended up with Twitch for not like streaming, but watching Twitch for probably close to like 12 years now, but.
I think I watched on mobile for like the first year.
COVID, though, it very much boosted the like Twitch mobile experience.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Ow! He stepped on me, Daddy. Help!
Oh, he stepped on me too. And he stepped on me twice.
Okay.
But yeah, and then like it was only when I really started streaming myself, or like getting close to that point, it was like, oh, okay, I see why people not kind of shit on the mobile app, but like say like, oh yeah, the mobile app is not that great. And it's like,
Yeah, no,
okay.
it's horrendous.
But yeah, now it's just god awful.
It's so much worse. I
Yeah.
almost miss the old days of bad Twitch mobile app.
Yeah.
I'm like, can we go back? It was significantly less bad.
Twitch has turned into basically like Instagram stories.
Yeah, except
But
nobody's using it for that though. That's the thing.
but like
Literally, like no.
or TikTok.
I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
Wait, do you have the here? See if you have the key for this. Sorry, I just kind of lost track there.
Yeah, I have a key. I think.
Okay.
The more easy to use Twitch or YouTube on my phone is more portable than my Steam Deck for general watching. Yeah, no, I get that. It's just lately, for me, like Twitch mobile's turned into like TikTok, where you like scroll up and you scroll down. It's like, oh, someone's live. Oh, someone's live. Oh, someone's live, and you just click on them. It's like, okay, cool. Okay, I guess I go through here. I guess I travel.
Hold on. Ving Rames is talking about woodchucks chucking wood real quick. What the fuck could chuck 700 pounds of wood if it felt like it? Holy shit.
Yeah, the new interface on Twitch Mobile is awful.
Yeah.
It is awful. Because I think I was watching somebody and they made a good point as well.
God, hearing Ving Rames say, but hey, you might as well grab a beef and cheddar while pondering the mysteries of the universe. Just fucking hits different, dude. It's so good.
But yeah, I remember somebody saying, they made a good point about the new Twitch mobile app. It's like, because when you open it up, it previews it basically does the live stream without actually clicking into it to chat. So like, if somebody's playing a game and it's like spoilers, and you don't want to play it, you're just instantly gonna get spoilers, like without even like clicking on the stream.
Not only that, but there's God, I don't remember exactly how it works, but the whole like who it shows you on that page, even if, like I said, even if they're not like someone you're following and stuff, the fact that it shows you an embedded stream like that technically counts you as a viewer. So it's falsifying view numbers by doing that.
Yeah.
It's like what Extra Life or Fextra Life does with their wiki pages. They embed all of their streams into their wiki pages, so every time someone visits like a Dark Souls wiki page or an Elden Ring wiki page,
someone
like
gets
Fextra
that view.
Life, they count as a viewer in a Fextra Life stream. Yep. It's like really sleazy shit.
It's just like, okay, I just want to know who like quality assurance or quality control who give this the okay.
Yeah.
like are they okay?
Fucking hell if I know, dude.
It's like,
Taking a back shot, honestly.
did they have a bad day and they were like, fuck it, yes. Make it TikTok, but purple.
I need to see if I can adjust the volume real quick with some of these.
That makes me laugh actually, because I watch a guy on Instagram, and I think is it Jason Reese, I think his name is. I think he's Australian, and he does a lot of videos where it's just like, okay, this is how sports in the Olympics were made, and he's just like basically a pissed guy drinking champagne. Like, okay, this is what's happening. let's make people
take this fucking stick and you're gonna throw it really far.
Yeah, and we'll call it the javelin throw.
Exactly.
But they can't throw it. They have to stop before a line. But that doesn't make any sense. It's like, shh.
Yeah. Then you're gonna take this frisbee and you're gonna spin in circles a few times, but it has to be exactly like 3 times, right?
And you have to throw it out of a certain angle, otherwise you hit a net.
And you have to underhand throw the frisbee too. You can't like toss it normally or overhand or anything. Like you have to throw it sideways and underhanded. And we're gonna call it discus to sound fancy.
Because I'll have to try and send them to you, like link them to you.
I think I've seen one of those pop up before.
My favorite one
but,
is my favorite one
yeah,
is
those are pretty good.
I mean, my favorite one was that he did was the Eurovision Song Contest.
Yeah.
It's so funny. He's like, right, let's get a load of people and to celebrate the European countries, let's make them all sing. And they're like, what? Oh, so then we can have like trade and stuff. It's like, no. We make them a singing contest, and whoever wins has to host the next one. And they're like, but that doesn't make any sense, sir. And it's just like.
Whoever wins has to host the next one.
Yeah,
like it's a punishment.
Yeah, it's like, but it's like 26 countries enter. Oh, but 5 of them don't have to do qualifying. It's like, we'll call it the Big Five. And then it's like, okay, but then who else wants to go there? Let's get Australia in, but they're not even in Europe. It's like, just get them in. It's fine.
Yeah, they're basically European. After all, they're paid actors anyways.
Yeah, it's just really funny. Oh, this guy looks cool.
Yeah, he's one of the avian knights. I don't remember what they're called. I don't remember if it's Bird Knight, just called Bird Knight, or if it's actually called like
Divine Bird Warrior armor.
There you go, Divine Bird. Divine Burb.
Divine Bird.
But yeah, so that dude is a farmable enemy, by the way. So like you
Oh,
can
is
rest
he?
at the bonfire, go back to that waygate, and then
then
come
just-
back here and farm him for like his armor and weapons and stuff
Nice.
if you wanted to.
Oh.
Hey, speaking of discus,
What are the odds?
right?
The verdigris discus.
Vertigrade discus. Yeah.
Oh, what was
it is
what-
a talisman, though. I don't remember what it does.
What was when
Raises
he did?
defense with higher equip load. So basically, if you're fat and chonky, you have better defense.
Okay,
It's made to make like tanky builds tankier.
thank you. Yeah. There was one he did recently, and it was it the 1500 meter steeplechase? And it's like
What?
there's one like track event where you run round, and then sometimes you have to jump over like a hurdle, and you land in water, and then you carry on.
What the? Fuck?
It's wild. And then and then he was like, right, let's make them run around a track. Let's do 1500 meters, and it's like, but every two laps they have to jump over into a puddle. And they're like, why?
I don't think I've heard of that one before or seen that event. Before.
Yeah,
I
that's-
know that there are some weird ones in there, and plus it's like every year they add some new
Yeah,
thing to the Olympics. But
it's fun.
I teleportated, by the way.
Yeah.
We're gonna go break into Shadowkeep through the back door.
Okay. Ooh.
Church District High Road is the bonfire I'm at.
I'm trying to. Oh, Church District High Road. Yeah. Oh, wasn't this where the fire dude was that we tried to kill?
Yes, the
and he
really,
just
really
wasn't.
fucking annoying one.
Yeah.
I mean, we can go see if just give him like one attempt. Or
Yeah. To see if he plays ball, but then
Because it looks like he's actually kind of standing over by the rock we need him at. We just need to keep him over there now.
I think I still have the.
The
Still
fire
have-
pots. If not, go ahead and
Yeah.
make them while I'm going over there to get like his attention or whatever.
Yeah, I got 2 hefty
No, you're
furnace
running
pots.
away, you dickhead! Don't walk away from the rock. You piece of shit! He was literally right next to the rock, and then he walked away.
You
Like dog.
what the? Why? Why'd you have to be this way?
Why are you the way that you are?
The worst. Okay, he's doing his flame on.
Yeah, he's trying to burn my ass to the ground.
Oh, hold on. He's walking.
What, is he moving?
He's walking. He's literally on the rock.
Oh my god, he's actually moving! Get up here, quickly.
I'm trying. Ah, I jumped the wrong way. Fuck. Fine. This is fine.
That's
This is fine.
Thankfully, with the spirit springs, you don't take fall damage. Oh god, he just fucking leapt into the air, dude!
I saw that.
Okay, so wait, he's gonna do his thing. Yep, okay, so after dodging this fire, get your hot pots ready.
Oh shit.
Oh god, ow, my face!
Oh god. Okay.
And go run up and throw one into his basket. It needs to be in the basket.
I think.
You overshot it, I think.
Fuck.
Yeah. How many more do you have?
F3. Hold on.
Okay, good. Ow.
Oh, that worked.
Yep, good. Now,
I'm
Oh,
gonna
careful,
die. I'm gonna die. I'm dead.
Oh, you got him!
Yeah. Let's go.
Nice! You did it! Did you get your
I got
tier
a
thing?
I
or
got
whatever the
a
fuck it is?
cracked sapphire tier. I think it was.
Yep. That's the one. Cool. So now we only have to deal with that one more time because there's only one more.
I mean, that was. I mean,
There is another one of those.
It must have
Is
been.
what I'm saying. There's
It must
another
have been the
armored
mod
one.
then.
I will deal with that one last. Basically,
Yeah.
like I'll take
Yeah,
you over to
fine.
where that one is last, so you don't have to worry about that headache for a while.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that must have been
Yeah, grab
the.
your souls, and I'll meet you back here at the bonfire.
That must have been the mod then. That was just like stopping him from moving.
Probably with like the AI tracking and stuff. I don't know, but I mean it
I mean, because he literally, as soon as he targeted us, he was just like, "Okay, I'm gonna walk over now," and we're like,
yeah, did what he's fucking supposed to.
it's like, why couldn't you do that like 3 weeks ago? Like, bro.
Right? Well, was it 3 or no? It was.
Oh no, I think it was 2.
It was last week, wasn't it?
Was it last week? I don't know. I know we spent.
it was.
I know we spent a little bit of time on it. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Alright, I got my souls back. So that's the main thing.
And then
Yeah, I
back
got.
over to this bonfire here.
I get a cerulean sapping cracked tier.
That, my friend, is
FP. Apparently.
yes, the cerulean sapping one though specifically is resulting concoction temporarily restores FP upon landing attacks. So basically, as you're hitting things, you restore focus.
Oh, so you could do more of
That
the
actually, ooh, that would actually be really good for my setup. Hold on.
Because I could do more of those attacks then, those special attacks with the dual swords.
Yeah, you can use. So like my
That's
claws
really
that
good,
I'm using
actually.
right now. When I use the weapon art on them,
Yeah.
it hits 3 times. So it consumes FP to do one swing, but one swing hits 3 times. So if every hit gives me that focus,
okay.
I could almost effectively generate infinite focus with that.
Yeah, because what have I got the minutes?
Go ahead and try that out, actually. I want to see if that works the way I think it's going to.
Enhanced charges charge attacks for a time in midst.
Inventory.
Yeah, I think I want health. I'll put that cerulean sapping cracked tier on as well.
Which ones do you have access to?
I have
for now?
Crimson Crystal tier, Crimson Burst Dried tier, which is like restores HP of nearby allies for a time. Temporary boost stamina. Enhances spontaneous guard, which is the deflecting hard tier.
Yeah, that's the if you want to make this game into Sekiro.
Yeah. Enhanced charge attacks for a time. Enhanced attacks at the cost of HP, which is I think the one you use.
Yeah, that's the one that gives you a 20% damage boost, but it slowly drains your health a little bit.
And then I got eliminates all stamina consumption.
Okay, that one's really good because then you can just keep swinging and swinging and swinging and swinging and swinging.
Okay, so should I put that and the cerulean one on maybe?
Which one did you say? You said you wanted like health restoration or something?
I that's what I got equipped at the moment, but that's because that's all I had at the time.
Oh, okay. I mean, if you do like the infinite stamina one,
yeah,
and then maybe do like the grants attacks FP restoring effects, then maybe what you could do is like after you do like a few of the weapon arts, then you could
put that on, drink that,
and then just spam regular attacks to get your focus back.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
Welcome back, dude. How you doing?
A good shout. It's a good shout.
What's the countdown timer for Pokemon spawns? So in roughly 5.5 minutes, you're gonna have a Pokemon spawn in chat that you can try to catch.
Or if you're like me and doesn't know what Pokemon is, I'm like,
Yeah,
huh?
well, you are only part of this hell because my girlfriend bullied you into it. That's why.
It's very true. That is very true.
I've never played Pokémons. Don't worry, a lot of people haven't.
All you need to know is you've got to catch them all, apparently.
Well, yeah, fucking hell. Now we're up to what, like 1,100, including regional variants, like 11 or 1,200 fucking Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way in hell you're getting all of them. Is this
Okay.
that seamless co-op PC thing I've heard of? Yes, Saboki. This is the
Oh,
seamless
okay.
co-op mod we're playing currently.
I think I found you, but you're invisible. So.
I'm sitting right next to the bonfire, basically.
Oh, are you? Because apparently you're by the wind spring thing on the rock.
Nope. Nope. I am currently at the bonfire. Let me travel and see if that resets it.
I'll fast travel as well.
Can you guys duel to determine who's better and assert dominance? I mean, not to be smug piece of shit about it, but I definitely would win that fight.
Ben would one-shot me and then laugh.
I would absolutely win that fight if for no other reason than the fact that I have way more time and money put into this game. Not money per se, but time and experience, I guess, put into this game than Welshie does.
His get good levels are way above mine.
Don't sell yourself short. The Romans respected your ancestors and conquered the rest of the Isles.
Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't argue with that, I suppose.
Saboki says Welsh's and Romans fan fiction when? What the fuck, dude?
Shouldn't it be Celtics and Romans fan fiction?
I guess technically, yeah, because the Romans left the Celtics alone, and then the Celtics and the indigenous barbarians, basically that were in the Isles, were the ones that resided there until Greater England was formed, right?
Yeah, I think so. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it.
All right. So welcome to Hell Part 2.
Oh,
not as bad as the hell we were in last week, but as you can see, there's water everywhere. If you touch the water, you die. Because apparently people in FromSoft games don't know how to swim. So
that is fair.
Yeah. Yeah. As
coming to Wattpad October
undead,
2024.
How to swim. Yeah, there's items on these rooftops and stuff.
Nice. If you guys duel, whoever wins gets 95 bits. It's a gambling thing now.
I mean,
you may as well give them to Ben now.
I was gonna say, I'm not gonna beat up Welshie for $1. I'm not gonna put him through that.
There is way more things way more efficient things you could spend your money on for $1 than beating the shit out of me.
Like half
virtually
a pack of bubble gum or something.
Yeah.
I almost said gobble gum because my brain has been in Call of Duty for a while.
Oh, good old gobble gum.
Well, Harry, I know you're not a huge fan of shooters or anything
I used to be.
Modern shooters, I mean, right? So
used to be. I did play the new Call of Duty the other day.
Last time you played a Call of Duty game?
I picked up because it's free on Game Pass. I played the new one last week, the multiplayer for the first time.
For 3 or whatever.
Yeah. I haven't played the campaign or anything. Fuck.
Hey, I told you can't swim. What? Come on.
I overshot. Okay. I fell in the gap between the logs.
Okay, well, now you've got to go back and get your souls too. So.
Jesus fuck. Oh, I need to get rid of the rot essence first. Hang on.
That bet the other guy's chat made. Wait, what?
Hmm?
Did someone in your chat make a bet as well?
Oh, Saboki did. Yeah, he came in and was like, yeah.
Yeah, that's who's talking about giving us $1. Go. I've been found out. Jesus. I'll say we are in a Discord call together, Saboki, so we know what's happening for the most part in each other's chats right now.
Let me try and grab my soul real quick.
Yeah, and for the love of God, just be careful.
What the fuck is that?
Pain for later.
Okay.
We can't do anything with it right now. So
I was like, is
your souls, and then maybe after you pick them up, warp back to the bonfires, and you don't have to part
maybe. I was like, is that Loch Ness? I was like, fuck.
No, it's an ulcerated tree spirit, but on crack.
Oh. Is it
so if you thought they were bad in the base game, just wait, because they injected steroids into these things in the DLC.
God, yeah. I mean, I used to love playing the old school ones, so Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3.
Hey, part of why I was asking, because I kind of forgot that we were talking about COD there for a second.
Yeah.
Part of why I was asking is because the new one's going to be on Game Pass, right?
Yes, Black Ops 6. Yes.
Yes. So would you be interested in playing like the zombies mode and stuff with me? Because
I would
am
happily
looking
play
for
them.
people to play zombies with, because I, as you know,
You love your
only
zombies.
mildly obsessed with zombies.
Yeah, only very, very mildly. I wouldn't say it's over extreme or anything,
No,
but
just mildly
yeah,
obsessed.
I've definitely seen people who are way more obsessed. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally wasn't a zombie as part of a hunt.
No. It's not like all your alerts are like zombies or anything. So
I jumped into his arms.
now all I hear is, "Oh, I just died in your arms tonight." You're just cuddling.
It must have been something you said.
You're just cuddling this fire zombie.
Yeah, right. Just getting eaten by this fucking flaming turd. Also, thank you, Trebles. Thank you for the resub. Oh my god, die! Ow. I'm dead.
I'm half dead.
I got blown off the cliff there, so.
Oh.
My
Yeah,
sub,
yeah,
I
I'll-
love high Trebles. Thank you for the. Wait. Oh, you gifted yourself a sub. That's what it is. Okay, I was like, what the fuck? She used her alt to give her main account a sub.
Nice. Hey, that's one way to do it.
You are a dork.
I'll just wait here then.
Okay, hold on.
But yeah, I'm definitely, because I know Modern Warfare. Yeah, I think it's October. Is it that Black Ops 6 is coming out?
October 25th.
Yes. And because I've got all the shit installed anyway, because there's a Call of Duty like main app which is like 160 gig, and it's like, oh, okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And
See,
because with Game
thankfully,
Pass you
if go
get
through the Game Pass PC app. It's like it's all gonna install through that. You don't have to go through like a separate COD launcher. I don't think. So
No, I think it's like they say, it's the Call of Duty like app which is free, and then because of like Game Pass, like Modern Warfare 3, I got like the cross-gen packs and stuff like that, and the bundles and like downloading the textures and stuff. So it's like, okay, cool.
Well, that's the cool thing about the new one is because they realize that they're getting obnoxious with file size.
Yeah.
It's both a pro and a con, honestly, because you have to be online all the time for it.
Yeah.
But the textures are going to be basically streamed from server side, so
okay.
that saves like 200 gigabytes of storage space. Apparently.
Yeah, it saves a shit ton of space.
The downside being that you have to be online to play the game.
Yeah, that's fair.
So.
That's fair. But yeah, I say, because once COD 6 comes out, I'll definitely be, like I say, if it's because it's not free on Game Pass, I'll have it.
At least the campaign and the zombies mode are going to take over my life for a little while.
Yeah, I'll happily play
the
zombies.
Mode actually looks like halfway decent, and I'll at least play the campaign, given the fact that the game is free. So I literally lose nothing by playing it and soaking up some of that COD publicity.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'll play the campaign, because last time I played the campaign was. Oh no, I did do Black Ops Cold War. I think I did the campaign for that.
Cold War campaign wasn't actually half bad. It was a decent campaign.
That wasn't too bad. And then I think the game before that was.
Okay. You gotta go back that way. I can't
Okay, yeah. Okay, sorry. I think the game before that was. God. I'm trying to go back from newest to oldest now, the COD games, and I'm like, my mind's drawing a blank now. Like, I know there was Black Ops 4.
So yeah, before Cold War in the Black Ops series, it was literally just Black Ops 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then Cold War, and then now 6.
Yeah, so I've played Black Ops 2 campaign. I'm trying to think of like the Modern Warfare ones now, or like the Infinity Ward ones, because there was like Advanced Warfare, Infinite Warfare. There were Ghosts. I played Ghosts. That was awful.
Yeah, Ghost was pretty bad. That was the one where they were like fish AI and dog. That was like the big
and it was
from the trailer.
Yeah.
From the reveal trailer.
And Eminem
was like fish AI and you could bet the dog or whatever, something like that.
And Eminem's music was playing, so it was like immediately all time great. I remember the multiplayer trailer was like one of Eminem's songs, and I was like, "Oh, this is good." And then I played the game, and I was like, "This is really bad."
yeah, this is horrible. Like, is the easiest way to avoid the auto resub. I feel guilty always going and enforcing the unsub. Yeah, that's fair, Tribbles.
Yeah.
That dude's just standing there menacingly.
with his sword out. I mean,
with
what?
his little dagger. Yeah.
Ow! Ow!
I would say thank you for taking those.
Yeah, I was like, I took the bullet for you. Oh, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. Ow! Ow! Let me heal, please.
But see how it like hits multiple times on these dudes?
Yeah.
Super nice. I love it. Ooh, that's a big room.
Oh, that's a big rune. But yeah, I'm trying to think now. So it's like, yeah, Black Ops 2 I played. There's a Ghosts I played. I'm trying to think. I played Warzone, but I don't think that game had a campaign, did it?
No, Warzone was strictly the, hey, we saw how miserable and pathetic Blackout was, so we're going to make a better Battle Royale.
Yeah.
And then they made one that was quote-unquote technically better, but still god-awful.
Yeah, and it was full of, like, hackers and bots. It's like, oh, okay,
yeah,
cool.
Absolutely. It's always hackers and bots. It's Call of Duty.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be Call of Duty without hackers, cheaters, bots, and fucking,
exactly.
you know, players with Chinese and Japanese symbols for their names that are exploiting some sort of third-party AI or UI cheat of some kind.
Yeah. I think, and then I think the last one. Oh, the new when they rebooted Modern Warfare was probably the last proper campaign I played.
I will say, okay, so I think it's Modern Warfare. I don't think I ever did Modern Warfare 2. I think I got the first Modern Warfare, and that was the last one I paid money for because
that was the last one I paid money for as well.
The campaign for that one was actually very good. I thoroughly enjoyed the campaign for that one, but the multiplayer, like, at launch, it was okay. It was like bearable. It wasn't great, but it was bearable. And then it just got progressively worse with how obnoxious the PvP was because it always came down to like, if you weren't using one of the 3 meta guns,
weapons, you're fucked.
Winning. Yeah, you weren't winning if you weren't using one of the 3 meta guns and builds.
Yeah.
And then also on top of that, it was an egregious microtransaction.
And because
you literally had to like pay to win because half of the shit for any of the guns that was any decent, you had to pay money in order to get, or spend like 100 hours with the worst gun in the game just to get an attachment to make it usable.
Yeah, exactly.
So
and that was released alongside of Warzone as well, so they probably got hit badly.
Yeah, that was the one that they released Warzone a few months into production. They released Warzone, and then they updated Warzone for a while. And then Modern Warfare 2 was the sequel to that with the campaign and everything, but then they just kind of updated Warzone. They didn't really release a new version of it. They just updated Warzone.
Yeah, I didn't play the new. I didn't play the new Modern. Apart from Modern Warfare 1, I haven't played the new Modern Warfare 1 campaign. I haven't played 2 or 3, the new ones.
I haven't played those either because I after the disaster that Modern Warfare reboot came to be, I was like, no, fuck this. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I didn't want to ruin my experience of the old ones. I was like, because at the end of the day, I'm gonna just compare it to that, and it's not fair at that point, and it's probably gonna be shit compared to it anyway, no matter what I think.
Well, see, for me, it was that, I was just so tired, especially with the rising prices. I was just so tired of, putting money in thinking, this year will be better. They promised it'll be better.
And it's just like, it's a reboot of a franchise we did.
Be the same bullshit every fucking time. So I was just like, fuck this. I'm never spending money on Call of Duty again. Literally the only reason why I am downloading it this year is because it's free on Game Pass.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, same. I would kind of be stupid not to because it's literally free for me. So
exactly. That
I can
it's no brainer.
Out of it, if nothing else.
Yeah.
I can milk a few streams with the campaign, play some of the zombies mode because I'm always a fan of zombies, and then just kind of be done with it if I don't like it. So.
Yeah, and if the multiplayer, if the multiplayer's okay, it's good for a one-off stream or whatever, or something to do.
Yeah, exactly. Or if I want to screw around with friends sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. If people are like, oh, do you want to jump on some?
It's not gonna be something that I sink a lot of effort into.
Oh no, I won't.
Unless I really enjoy the game, and I'm still not gonna pay any money for it. Fuck
no,
it.
Fuck no. What kind of fish would use a gun? Cod.
Cod. Yeah.
Nice, Jax. Nice. Just for that. What else?
All right, we're going back down real quick though. Sorry, I've been kind of just leading you through here without explaining anything.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
If you notice, we are back in the specimen storehouse though. So like, if you look down, that's
Oh.
kind of
Oh yeah.
yeah, like that big statue right there in the middle of that room is
Yeah.
where the bonfire was that we found that was labeled specimen storehouse
Oh
first
yeah.
floor.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're literally just like right over here now,
Okay,
basically.
cool. Nice.
So, real quick though, before we go back down this elevator, I'm gonna run to the restroom real quick. So
Yeah, that's no
that'll
worries.
be
No worries.
right back.
Quality is a disaster. I mean, yeah, like I said, the last time I properly sunk into a Call of Duty game, maybe the new Modern Warfare 1, and then before that was probably Black Ops 2, I want to say. That sort of era, like 360 era. Hey, Mara, not gonna lie, I never expected to tune in and find out you're about it. Well, you know, you learn something new every day, Mara. You learn something new every day. How are you, buddy? How are you? Happy Saturday. Hope you're doing well, my man. The last time I played Call of Duty game was Call of Duty 3. Yeah, oh god, I remember that. I remember playing that on PSP, I think it was. Is it the big red one? I think it was subtitled, I think. But yeah, like the first proper Modern Warfare I got into was, yeah, Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops 1 were that was my introduction to Call of Duty, really. I didn't play Modern Warfare 1. I played Modern Warfare. My first Modern Warfare was Modern Warfare 2. No, that was Call of Duty 2. Ah, okay, my bad. I'm tired and hungry. How you doing? I'm not too bad. I said not too bad. I'm not hungry, but I'm doing all right. I can't complain, you know. Playing some co-op Elden Ring with my buddy Ben, so it's always a good time. I usually just lurk when I can, since he's usually on when I'm waking up. Yeah, no, that's fair. I totally get that. A lot of people in the States and stuff, it's either they're working, it's like during work hours, or sleeping or whatnot. There's two different versions of Call of Duty 2. Okay. But this is new. You work midnight to 8 a.m. Oh shit. Okay. I do night shifts. Like that's what my brother does. My brother's night shifts. But his is more like 7 p.m. to like 4. So it's like more of the whole night, but you're always like, yeah. That's not too bad though. To me, like that, like you can I know you'd probably be tired in the mornings when you wake up, but like, I don't know. I feel like you can do stuff. Because obviously you would sleep in the morning, but like in the nighttime, just like work in the nighttime, that wouldn't be too bad. I wouldn't be against it then, put it that way. I don't know. It depends on what you're used to, what your schedule, you know, your needs and stuff are, I suppose. But yeah, that's nice. I just like it because I can choose if I want to go to breakfast or dinner. That is true. Yeah, you can be like, well, you know, I'm fancying a breakfast today. But no, I'm with you. Oh, but I hope I hope you've been keeping all right, Mara. Good to see you, as always. Oh, stretch it. Oh. 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 Right. Yeah, so we're currently in the DLC. We're just kind of mingling around. And whilst we're talking about Call of Duty and how shit it's been, even though now it's on Game Pass. It's free on Game Pass now, so it's like, oh yay, we can play it, and you know, it's not more of a like ugh. You know, I'm usually just tired most of the day. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, because it's probably not the. Yeah, because like I say, if you work in the evenings when when your body thinks you need to sleep, it's like, nah, you got to work, and then you sleep during the day, and it's like, ooh, your body clock's probably like out of whack a little bit. So it's like, oof. Yeah, you know exactly where we are. Nice. Have you done yeah, you've done the DLC, right, Mara? Thinking. Oh, I can't fast travel anywhere. No. Oh shit, we've been invaded. Well, fuck. Hmm. Hi. Hi. Oh, you're gonna drink? Okay, fine. Fuck you then. Ben. Ben. Oh, I can't even damage. Oh, we're flying on the lift. This is fun. This is fine. Ow. 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 Did it kick Ben away? That's crazy. You literally gotta get one hit on me and I'm dead. Bro. Ah, motherfucker. Are you gonna teabag as well? Cool. Nice. I had the infinite stamina, so I just went for it. Oh. Where are we? Oh, the back section. Okay. That makes sense now why we couldn't, I couldn't fast travel anywhere. I love those. I have to wait till Ben gets back now. Ah! Whoa, what the fuck? Not the whole thing, but I've been running around. Ah, okay. Nice, nice, nice. I know there's a lot of people that enjoy the online in Call of Duty, but those FPS games are not for me. Yeah, no worries. That's totally fine.
Wow, well, so you let me die? Fucking kicked me off an elevator and everything? What the hell, bro?
We got fucking invaded, dude.
I know. I could hear it from the bathroom. I just heard bed, 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 and I heard the panic in Greece.
Yeah, it was literally on the elevator, and then because I walked over the button for the elevator, it was going down. It was like something out of fucking Tekken.
But I was like, dude, I'm indisposed. Like, I'm taking a shit. Like, there's no way I'm gonna come running over to save you. Like, fucking.
Yeah, no, I just shouted just for dramatic effect.
To
be fair, I had like 0.1 health, and I was just because I drunk my physic thing to like have infinite stamina, and I was just wailing, and I got it down to like a third health, and then it just poked me, and I died, and I was like,
yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah, people in PvP do have some pretty disgusting PvP builds that are just really obnoxious.
Yeah. To be fair, I think I swung with my infinite stamina so much, but like only like 5% of the hits were being like we're taking registering properly, and I was like, huh, because I'm right in front of him, like swinging.
Well, it's probably because he was either dodging or lagging, one of the two.
Probably lagging because he wasn't dodging when I was on my screen.
Yeah.
He was just standing in front of me, and I was like, okay, so I'm just gonna swing and hope for the best. You know, nothing like watching a couple of potheads play Elden Ring. Sad. Oh, shush.
Menacingly. Okay, so yeah, I heard the pothead comment.
Yeah.
I just about walked off on my own there. Looking at something.
That would have been hilarious, because I would have...
Oh, hey, I forgot this guy's back.
Ow.
Fuck off. There we go.
Oh shit, I didn't rest, so I got that rot, haven't I? Fuck.
Oh, that sucks.
That fucking sucks.
You want to go rest real quick?
I'll be fine. I think.
Okay, jump over to the statue and grab the charcuterie thing that's in its hand.
Well, I'm gonna die anyway, so fuck it.
Did you grab it at least?
No, I overshot and then
Well,
I
get the item behind the statue and
Iron Knight seal. I overshot and then slipped off.
Hello, Birdie. Hopefully you can hear me now. Hello, hello. Ow.
Ow, ow.
Ow.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's not.
You sound right now. Kind of staggering him, or at least like pushing him to where he can't attack as much.
Yeah, that's true.
How aggressive I can be with these.
Ooh, death
Hanging
mask
around
helmet.
his-
Nice.
No worries, Birdie. You're fine. But how you doing? How you
Oh,
doing?
okay, they're gone. Okay, cool. Got him.
Well, because that dude
Daddy.
summons those things. That's why.
That's why. Okay.
This little pink fish does not evolve into big pink fish. Got it. Okay.
I'm gonna brace myself. Jax is another Tangier inner thought, so I'm bracing myself.
Yeah. These your inner thoughts again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm waiting. So sometimes Tangier takes a little bit to kick in. Oh, there we go. It's kicking in now.
Yeah.
Hold on. Hold on.
Help me. Ben, help me so I can no longer be an Elden Ring noob. So I can hope become just as good, if not better than you.
That's never gonna happen.
What?
It's like, help me, Ben. Help me so I can no longer be an Elden Ring noob, so I can hope become just as good, if not better than you. And I was like, well...
I mean, I can teach you to be as good as me, but it takes time and effort.
yeah, it takes a
all.
lot of time.
Yeah. I mean, granted, I will admit, though, that I am not, like, the best player at these games by any means. And I am not as good as I used to be because as I'm getting older, my reflexes are going bad. So, like, I don't have the reaction time that I did, 10 years ago or 15 years ago when I first started playing these games. So, this gallon of milk had one of those evil pull tabs on their lid, and I needed help opening it. Jesus, Birdie. Sounds like you're having a rough start to the day, then. Alright, well, here's a grace you can rest at least, and then we're going to go do the boss that's down here.
Okay.
I think this is the one I'm pretty sure I know which one this is down here.
Oh, I can have a look.
What the-
Okay.
It did that thing where, because we rested, the elevator reset, that it only happens in this mod,
Oh, yeah.
Where, like, the elevator just shoots up or down because
Whee!
you rested at a bonfire.
Okay. Should I keep pumping into dexterity? Or...
What are your stats at?
So, Vigor's 40, Mind is 18, Endurance is 30, Strength is 40, Dexterity 50, Intelligence 16, Faith 16, Arcane 7.
Okay, I would put a couple more. You said Mind is at, like, 18?
Yeah.
What's your Endurance at?
30.
Okay. I would put a couple more points into Mind, get it to like 20, maybe 25, just that way you have a little bit more focus to work with using like your...
Oh, the
your
weapon arts and stuff, yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just so that way you can use like your weapon arts a bit more and stuff before you have to drink a cerulean flask.
Yeah, gotcha. I don't have any equipped, so I'm probably relying on Mind alone.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt to have, like, one cerulean flask, even if you're not using it frequently, just to have one in case you do need it for some reason is definitely helpful.
I'll when I get to the next bonfire, I'll
Yeah, we're gonna get another one up here soon.
I'll rejig it.
There should be an item here, though, that is one of the items you need for the quest line we're gonna try to do today, actually.
Ooh, Iris of Grace. What do you call your friend who stands in a hole? Bill.
What? Oh, Phil. I thought you said Bill. So
No.
I was like, what are you talking about? And then it took a second to realize, like, okay, I'm sure you probably said Phil.
Yeah, I did say Phil. What's Forrest?
Bill. So I was like, fucking what?
What's Forrest Gump's Facebook password?
What?
1Forrest1.
God damn it. I hate you so much. I hate you so fucking much. Fuck you. I'm gonna go beat up a sunflower. Fuck you.
Just...
Yeah, by the way, if you can't tell, this is totally not like a boss arena or anything.
Yeah, no. This doesn't scream boss arena at all.
Yeah. I kind of forgot that, like, this was so close to where we were, so that's kind of why I just figured we'd take this little detour.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
This boss pisses off so many people.
Right. Oh,
Yeah,
I think I might recognize this one.
Do you remember when I fought this thing?
Might be when you fought it or somebody else. Oh, yeah, that's a really pissed off sunflower.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Oh, ow. You got a lot of range, buddy. Oh, I think I know, like, the sort of, like, gimmick for this.
Ow.
Ow.
Yeah, what's that?
The...
Oh my god, it does restore my FP, like, as fast as I'm using it. Holy shit.
I
just don't have the stamina, so I need to,
Ow.
I need to put the infinite stamina one in for that, then. That's gonna be bad.
The fuck? Ow. Whoa, whoa. Ah. Oh my god, again. Feared into all hell. Yeah, there's more than one of these.
More than one, it's the same thing. Final form of Sunflora, right? Birdie, they gave Sunflora Mega finally.
Yeah, it's Bill and Ben gone wrong.
Amazing! Alright. Okay, that one kind of actually hurt. He got the zoomies!
Whoa, he got the zoomies.
Yeah, he got the zoomies. And he
Whoa.
sends those out that really, really suck because they bleed you, like, instantly. That attack also sucks. This is the targeting one that you had to deal with a minute ago.
Am I fat
Throw
rolling?
shit at me and get over here, you turd.
Am I fat rolling? My roll seems very slow.
You are in mud.
Oh, right. Okay, that's fine. Oh, yeah, no, it's fine. Sorry.
No, stop it. Stop doing your fucking
Samurai Edgerunner Jax asked me, is it possible for Welsh Bandicoot to become the best player at Elden Ring?
No.
Or should he just give up that pointless endeavor and just stick to what he knows, like playing Crash Bandicoot? Ah, the eternal struggle between aspiration and reality. While Welsh Bandicoot might dream of conquering Elden Ring, perhaps they should consider sticking to Crash Bandicoot, where the only thing at stake is a few cartoonish lives and some fruit. Why aim for greatness when mediocrity suits you just fine? After all, we wouldn't want them to suffer too much through the agony of defeat, would we?
Stop it! Yeah, you little shit. Zoom.
Thank you for that, Jax.
Dude, I dodge rolled and it didn't do anything. Stop it!
Oh, fine.
Stop it! I am almost out of flasks now. This is not good.
I'm trying to put some hits in.
Ow. I actually rolled out of that one at least. Oh, okay, well, that sucks. Dude, you fucking just...
Why are you just always out of range? God damn it.
Oh, wow.
Ah,
I told you, it bleeds you fast.
fuck.
Oh, not the zombies!
I just got pummeled. Ow. Ow.
Yeah. He's zooming! He's zooming!
What a dodge.
He's scooting! He's scooting again! Oh my god! It's like a cat on catnip. So, I'm gonna just hit you with it now. There's another phase.
Yeah, I remember there's more than two. I definitely remember being more than two. I'm out of flasks, by the way.
In the game that has 3 phases. Stop with the fucking zoomies, bro!
I'm out of flasks, by the way.
Yeah, so am I. He's just flattening me, and I can't get close, because every time I get close, he fucking smacks me to the ground or zooms away. Like that, I literally couldn't fucking do anything about that. Okay,
Oh, yeah, I'm super dead.
Die! I died. I couldn't fucking get him in time.
Oh, fuck, god damn it. Yeah, I tried to as well.
literally has
tried.
1 health left. Did you see
Oh,
that?
yeah,
He
I
had
did.
fucking 1 health left.
I think if I got one more hit in before I got killed, I would have got the second phase, but no.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it didn't matter. I was dead. I was dead regardless. I had no flasks left.
Fuck.
Not a bad first attempt, though.
No, it wasn't bad at all, actually.
Yeah. I need more flasks going into the 3rd phase, though, because the 3rd phase is fucking awful.
Yeah.
Good luck on the catches, everybody. It's a little teddy bear. Cuddly little teddy bear. Okay, so real quick here, before I do this, right, I'm going to, rather than have the makes consecutive attacks grow stronger in the physic, I'm going to do the infinite stamina one, because that combined with the FP regeneration one,
Yeah, that's what I've
for
got.
attacking, I'll basically generate like infinite FP, and I can just swing my shit indefinitely. So
Yeah, that's what I've got on mine.
okay, ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
That's fine. You should still ping this through the door.
It's oh, it started. Oh fuck, okay.
Ow! He
Yeah.
hit me through the door. Fuck, man.
Oh, I did not mean to use my flask, but that's fine. Oh yeah, if you hit his face, it's like much better.
Yeah, if you hit his face, it does a shitload of damage. Yeah, see how much fucking... Ow. Ouchies. Oh my god. Uh-oh, that's probably
that's
very
not good.
bad for me. Jeez. Ow. Ow, god, why are there so many?
Ow. Okay, that's
Okay.
phase 1.
Yep, phase 1 down. I literally can't sprint over to... There we go.
I probably should
Oh
grab.
my god.
Should probably grab my runes. That might help.
Yeah, you need to grab your runes.
Oh, it's only 20k. That's not too bad actually.
I have 330,000, but which
It's like-
not so bad for me, but still though. Motherfucker, I forgot that he swipes as he Dude, you fuck off.
Ow! That was a bit of a headbutt. Not gonna lie. I didn't like that.
No, not the zoomies!
Oh shit!
You do it again!
I tried
Damn
to
it.
heal. I tried to heal. Fuck.
Yeah, I'm not fighting him way the fuck over there. I don't need my runes on fucking Jupiter over there.
God damn it.
Fuck you. Come on, why can't you zoom back to me over here, dickweed? Literal dickweed.
I mean, he's a weed.
That's what I'm
Literally.
saying. He's literal dickweed.
Yeah, he's like, nah, no zoomies for you, buddy. No zoomies for you, buddy.
Ow. Okay, well, of course that one had to fucking hit me. Asshole.
He's just doing his long range attacks. He's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
nah, yeah.
But he is slowly getting closer
Oh, he's
too.
creeping,
which
he's creeping,
means
he's
If I
creeping.
can close the distance, then he'll at least be kind of by the door.
Yeah,
To
at
make this
least.
a little bit better.
This music's nice though.
Yeah, this is one of the best songs on the new soundtrack. Ow, you ass, you fucking ass munch. Bro,
Let me heal.
fuck off! No, it's not even the healing. It's I can't move because he keeps just knocking me around like that. Oh my god, the staggering as he like does the back sweep is really fucking like whatever, fucking. At least just kill me over here by the door.
It's just, it was like death
Wow.
take me.
He couldn't even fucking kill me. Like I stood there and did nothing, and he still couldn't fucking kill me, asshole.
I'm guessing you can't like, if you had a shield, you couldn't like parry those. I'm guessing.
No.
No.
You can, I think, if you have like the spell parry, but I I'm not sure. I am horrible with parrying, so I don't even bother trying.
Yeah, no, I was just as a
Like, I've
reference.
always been more of a dodge and
Yeah, dodge and attack sort of thing.
especially since Elden Ring introduced like proper dual wielding and
Yeah.
what they call power stancing.
Yeah.
With like two weapons of the same type or like two-handed weapons like what you and I are using. Since Elden Ring like properly introduced that,
Yeah.
I have basically not used a shield at all this entire game.
That's
Like,
fair.
in all of my
Yeah,
time playing,
I don't
I've
really see
not
the point
used
of
other
a
than
shield.
to parry that bastard out in the swamp.
Yeah.
That was basically it.
Please don't use your long range attack. No. Okay, that's fine.
I got him into sweeping into the things over there. Oh my god!
Of course you
Does it
target
again.
me now. Jesus fucking Christ. Okay. Wait, am I still like? Oh, did I not rest? Oh shit. Okay, that might be a problem.
Oh, I think I know why you might have been like heavy rolling or something. Because remember you got a rune arc before.
Yeah, it's probably the rot. It's probably the rot essence.
Yep.
Just realised now. It's probably the rune art.
Oh my god!
Makes a lot
bro.
of fucking sense.
Dude,
Well.
I can't fucking roll when I need to. Yep, saw that one.
Ow.
Dude, I dodged that, but okay, whatever.
Oh, fuck off.
Yeah, you gonna come for me? Yep, I knew it. Ow. Just fucking run! There's so many of them!
Oh.
And he's doing it again, of course.
You can do it to me now, I think. Yep.
Probably.
What in the Super Smash Bros. Is this?
Right. Like, bro, did you fill up your meter, dog?
What is this final Smash attack?
Exactly. This is Final Smash bullshit. Get this out of here. Oh god, I'm stuck. I can't get around. Yeah. Okay, there we go. I couldn't get around to his face.
Pretty face.
So that's what, one phase or two?
Yeah, that's one. That's one phase. Okay, phase two.
Gonna do the spins. Watch. Zoomies?
Oh, it's Zumi's time.
Maybe they
Whoa!
Yeah, he changed target real fast there. I don't necessarily like that one.
Yeah,
No.
that was too fast.
I
That was too fast for my
whatever.
liking. Ow. Can you let me heal? Thank you.
Zoomies?
Come back. Come on.
And now he's
No.
doing this shit. Exactly. I'm just gonna keep doing this shit.
Come on.
Get your fucking zoomy ass over here, you turd.
Come on. Oh, he's schmoving.
Okay.
Oh, of course.
Fucking, he was aimed at me and he threw it at you. What the fuck?
Yeah, as soon as I use my freaking.
Okay. You ass. Gets a little bit of damage in. Not bad.
Oh fuck. Oh, that's on you. That's on you. Oh, zoomies.
Hurt a lot.
Zoomies. Oof.
Yeah, and he does it like 3 or 4 times in a row in phase 2, and then he does a slam after.
Oh fuck.
Thing.
Ow! Oh, I'm dead. Yeah. Fucking because of the thorns. Shit.
Oh my god. I literally have like no save point. Hey dude, I literally can't get out of here because all of his attacks with that AoE just fucking demolished melee builds.
Hmm.
Come on. Ass. Fuck you. I hate you so much. I hate you so much, dude. DLC, and then he does that back sweep and still fucking deals damage to me while he's scooting backwards. It's such bullshit, dude. It's such bullshit.
Yeah.
Oh man. They definitely, since my first time through this DLC, they definitely have updated this thing's AI to be like way more aggressive and just way more annoying, because it was not this bad. Like, this thing took me, I think, 3 tries to beat on my first playthrough.
Yeah.
And I was 4 difficulties higher than you are right now.
Wait, what is that? Look at my status. What is that? It's like a skull. Picture of a face. It's
One of your little, like,
yeah.
tray of buffs and debuffs or whatever?
Yeah, yeah.
That could be something from the curse or whatever, I don't know. I mean, try just, like, resting at the bonfire to see if it goes away.
I've tried resting and nothing happens. Not quite sure.
What talismans do you have on?
Arsenal Charm, Crimson Sea Talisman +1, and Dragon Crest Shield Talisman +2.
I don't know what it would be then.
It looks like a doll face, but like really drawn in. So like I don't know, maybe it's because because I died and I haven't got my runes back. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not sure what that is.
What happens if I use a rune now? No, it's still there.
Yeah. I don't know. That could be something from the mod. I'm not sure. I don't bother paying attention to any of that shit because I don't generally know what most of those icons are for.
Yeah, that's
I'm just like, I know what my gear does and what my spells do and shit, but I don't really care what the icons are. Like, I don't know or care what the icons are, really, because I know exactly what I should have on. Like...
Okay. Appreciate the look, Jax. Hope, have a good one, buddy.
My shoals.
I want to grab my runes, please.
Go for it.
Oh fuck! I fucking rolled backwards, not sideways. Come on now, bro. Well, that does a bit of damage actually. That weapon art.
Yeah. I mean, it is decent magic damage.
Oh, fuck off.
Yeah, and that just, like, it makes it impossible to hear him when he does that shit.
I thought I could like run away from that, but you've got to fucking roll.
Yeah, no, you have to roll. I got some decent damage in just by meleeing. I have to go heal though. Ow, you motherfucker, dude. Thankfully, it didn't actually take the flask from me, but still. Out.
Yeah, I'm running.
Me? How did I not? How did I get caught?
Again, dude.
He just threw that backwards at me. What the fuck?
No, run away.
There we go. Phase 1. Not actually horrible. Not great,
that wasn't too bad.
Not perfect, but not poor. I'm down 2 Crimson and 1 Cerulean. Haven't used my other thing yet, so let me re-up my buffs.
I've already used my... Hey, fuck.
Uh-oh.
Oh, he's got the zoomies.
I knew that was gonna hurt!
Oh, he got the zoomies.
I was like, I knew that was gonna hurt. Buddy.
No. Come on. shit,
Fuck
run.
off with the hitting me with that, dude.
Oh,
Backing up. He's
backing
gonna
up.
do this shit, and then he's gonna throw shit. Yep.
Oh, zoomies.
Zooming.
And he went flying off the map. God damn, sir.
Oh.
Oh. Oh, fuck, I just saw that one coming.
Ow.
Oh, here we go, here we go.
Yeah, he's targeting me.
Off.
Okay.
Oh, fuck
now
off.
Now he's moving around at you, but yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, he's just got a hard on for you right now. Just be careful.
I'm trying to heal a little bit, but not going very well.
I'm kind of just tanking some damage here. Watch out.
Ah, fuck. Okay.
Fuck. My blood loss is going up a little higher than I would like.
Yeah, mine's quite high too.
Oh my god, dude. Fuck off.
I have one flask left.
Zoomies. Are you shitting me? How did he hit me with that? Alright, shithead, get over here.
Oh, great. He's going to target me for this, isn't he? Yep.
Bruh.
You don't want to know.
He's thin. Yep. Careful, because he usually does a third one. There it is. Okay, there we go.
Ow. Is he going to target me? Is he going to target me? No. Okay.
Okay, he's dead. Or wait, what? How did that not get him? Hit him like once, please.
Got him.
So that's the knockdown. Yeah, just get the light attack. There we go.
Okay. I have one flask and a dream.
I have one of each as well, so.
Didn't assign my cerulean one on.
Oh god. Why do you have to be here?
Fuck.
What
the fuck is this?
No.
What the fuck was that?
His, like, ultimate.
Oh my god. Oh, zoomies. I noticed the music's changed again.
Ow. Yeah, this is the final phase, thankfully. Ow! Oh, there goes my crimson.
Oh, zoomies. And again.
Bro! I
And again.
literally couldn't dodge because I was fucking switching weapons. I got caught in the switching weapons animation. That's fucking bullshit. Sorry, I've got to heal a bit over here.
Yeah, that's fine, that's fine,
I've
that's
got one of my little minor Erd trees down if you need some healing. You can come over this way. He's gonna explode again, too, so watch out.
He does go like a little bit thingy though afterwards.
Yeah, it definitely, like, if you can avoid that attack or dodge it, or whatever, then it definitely
Ah, well, yeah. Hey, Cinema. What you call a man with a seal on his head? Cliff. Yeah, that's about right.
Bro, how did that hit me? Dog, I'm trying to do this without just cheesing with the fucking mimics here. Yeah, no, there's no way in hell. I have no health now. Yep. Yep, he did the stupid back scoot again. He was right there, and he still did the stupid fucking back scoot, and it hit me. Bro, the hitboxes on some of these moves have definitely changed from when I first fought this asshole. Holy shit. But hey, at least we made it to phase 3 that time.
Yeah, we got to phase 3 at least. That's something.
Yeah. if this takes too many tries, I am just gonna pull out the Mimic tier and say fuck it, because
that's fair.
like I don't want to spend all day here.
No, that's fair. I do have a Mimic
But,
tier as well, but it's like it's like +4.
Yeah, I mean that's better than nothing though, to have just some like fodder, you know.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to do, actually. If I'm... Hold on, I'm just going to sort out my...
Alright. Ow.
Oh, on my way. I didn't have my cerulean flask in my hotbar, so I'll just...
Okay.
Add on real quick.
Yeah, go grab your souls if you need to.
I don't even know where the fuck they are. I'm being honest. I can't even see them.
I don't know, but he somehow missed me with all of that.
Oh,
so
there it is.
fuck
Found
it.
him, found him, found it.
He's
It's
gonna
behind it.
keep
Behind a tree.
face taking and smacking him around.
It was behind a tree, so I'll take it.
Let me. Yeah, he's like missed me with all of his attacks so far, so. No, of course that one I just had to get smacked in the face with. I had no stamina though, so I figured that one was coming. It's weird because he's looking at me, but clearly swinging at you.
Oh, he was looking at me when he was doing those attacks.
I'm just trying to wail on him normally with like normal attacks because this thing has a decent combo. See, and I can get some good attacks off. Fuck. Ow. Jump. Ow, good God! Probably coming for me. No,
Oh,
you.
oh. Ow. But there's so many!
Can die.
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
phase 1. Not actually too bad.
I got one more flask than usual, so that's good. I got 8 instead of 7.
Oh yeah, I think him not hitting me at the beginning there with like all of his attacks definitely made a difference there because I was able to just kind of keep wailing on him.
Oh, fuck,
Watch
fuck,
out
fuck,
for the
fuck,
spinning
fuck,
and
fuck.
things that do.
Aye.
And then the zoomies he's probably gonna do.
Oh, no, I didn't do the zoomies yet. Oh, now he's doing zoomies.
There's the-
He's... Oh, he was primed for you there.
Ow. Yep. Ow.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my
Back the...
God, dude.
Oh,
Zoomies.
zoomies. Oh, I thought he was going to go... Whoa! Shit, I thought you had me then for a second. I was like, whoa.
Then. Slam.
Oh, no,
No,
zoomies. Oh, I thought I dodged too early. Fuck. And again. Okay.
I'm gonna get hit. Yep. Oh, back up, back up, back up, back up, back up, back up.
Oh, sorry, just got away with that one.
Watch out for this one.
Yeah, just going for you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Good.
swinging, swinging, swinging.
Ow. Slam. Yep. Zoomies.
Yep, zoomies. That was
I
close.
rolled into his face and it like stopped his forward movement for a second there. That was kind of funny. Yeah.
Oh, what the fuck?
Get over here, you
Whoa.
piece of shit. Get over here, you piece of shit.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Stop
Go.
it. I don't use that spell anymore. Stop using it against me.
Christ. Okay, they're going for you. Oh, no, it's in again.
Yep.
Oh, that's going for me. Nice.
Uh-huh. Spin.
Oh.
Watch out. Second spin. And then,
And then-
slam.
Yep.
Yep.
Just out of range. Fuck
I'd say
me.
not quite close enough for that one. Don't go for me.
I tried to aim for the head as well. Like,
Yeah. It's like what I'm trying to. Ow! Fuck, dude. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to aim for the head when he's like close enough to.
yeah.
okay. Dude, fuck off, bro. He, like, kept hitting me with that, and I couldn't fucking move.
Oh, zoomies. And again. Oh, fuck, I wasn't... That was a quick turnaround. I was not prepared for that.
Yeah.
I'm making my way across. Oh, shit. Oh, ooh. That attack isn't too bad. You can,
Yeah, no. The stuff he does with his head is really not so bad.
it's just the arms. Like, those attacks just fucking suck.
One more. Ah, fuck off! Dude, let me fucking hit you one more time, you piece of
say.
shit.
I was making my way
Fuck
over.
me, I took so much damn damage there.
Okay. Phase 3. Gonna be? Where are you gonna be? Oh, right there, right there. Shoot.
Fucking hold on me, please. He's gonna explode. Run away.
Quicker than a ray of light, huh?
Yeah. I need to golden vow real quick. So if you want to keep his
Oh,
attention.
zoomies.
Zoomies.
Oh, come on, I dodged that.
Going after me.
Behave.
Zoomies.
Oh, zoomies.
Zoomies.
And again.
One more.
And again, and again.
Zoomies. Oh.
I've got his attention.
Yeah.
Fuck. Oh, come on. I literally said that attack's not that bad, and then he fucking hits me with it.
Yeah. Bro.
Yeah.
Fucking, I used my damn
Oh,
blast to get
bro.
the infinite stamina and the FP regen, and then he just scoots away, so I can't do anything with it. So cool.
Come on.
Ow. It's fucking annoying. Can you fuck off?
Oh,
Can you fuck off?
Right, one more flask left.
Ow. Okay. Ouch. I'm gonna get hit. Oh god. Maybe. Okay. Maybe not. He's gonna explode. Oh god. Ow. That hurt a lot.
Oh, wait. Oh, what the fuck?
Oh god. What the fuck?
That's new.
Uh-huh. I hit him in the head a bunch, so I didn't get, like, full damage in, but I got some good damage in at least.
Oh.
Zoomies. I think he tried to aim at me after he was already targeting you, and it spun him to where he didn't actually hit either of us.
Okay, okay. Oh, I've got no flasks left. I've only got my physic left, so...
Okay. If you can keep his attention, I can get behind him and just finish him off.
Okay. I've got his attention for now, so...
Yeah, he needs to get closer over here, though. That's the problem. Zoomies?
Yep.
Towards you?
Oh, fuck me. He hits me with that, I'm dead. Like, literally dead. There's no two ways about it.
Explode.
Jesus, what the fuck is that?
I don't know, but run in. Whale
I'm trying,
him.
I'm trying.
I'm dead. Finish it! Finish it! You got it! No! No, we're so close! Zoomies. Zoomies.
Oh, I fucking...
Ah!
It's always that second one, does it so quick, and I never...
Yeah. In
Fuck.
the second and third phase, he does the follow-up zoomies really fast. God damn it. Had that third blast not hit me so fucking hard, and had I been able to actually get over to his head, I would have done enough damage to him.
Hmm.
Oh, excuse me.
So close.
That was good though. I was able. I mean, for the most part, it was good. My fucking physic flask got wasted, unfortunately, but
Yeah, mine's same. I think I might... I don't know. I think I might just change it so it's got health recovery on it.
Yeah.
Oh, the fuck? Okay.
I cannot rest at the bonfire. What the fuck?
We've been invaded, I think.
Okay.
I went to rest, and then...
Yeah, let's quickly enter the boss fight then. Go. Malicious Wanderer, Edgelord Waifu. Okay, Edgelord Waifu, you can fuck right off.
Oh, I think he's right behind me.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to get into the thing. Just come into the boss fight.
Yeah, I literally, he took one swing, and I was like, oh, I'm bye. Bye-bye.
Wait,
Oh.
I think he's in here with us. Hold on.
Oh, wait, is he? That's kind of wild.
I don't know. I see his name still.
He's literally right behind the thing. Oh, run away, run away. Run. Oh, he left. Nice.
Dude. See, now I'm getting fucked up being here. I wasn't able to get any decent damage in on his head.
I got a few good hits in, but... Oh, fuck off.
Ciao.
Head moves so much, it's just like... Hard to
Okay, that
pinpoint
was
it.
some. Careful. Watch out for that one. That's the big one.
Ah!
I wasn't able to get out of that. Watch out.
No,
Okay, good. They're coming for me. Now.
I was so low on health.
Yeah, I'm gonna be really low on health again. Fuck, man. This is not a great attempt.
Can't really see what's going on.
Bro, I fucking rolled, you motherfucker. I rolled, and it still fucking caught me in that shit. What the fuck? And the AoE on the thorns is just obnoxious.
Yeah, it is not
There's
cool.
literally no way to dodge it. You can't, like, roll through them.
No. I feel like I have a couple of times, but I don't know if that's just by pure luck or...
Some of them, it's like sometimes some of them you can, but some of them you can't. Fuck. I'm screwed. Ow.
I just tanked the damage.
Out.
So I thought.
Fucking one more hit, come on! I'm not gonna make it out of this. Hey.
Nice.
Shit, I'm already down 4 fucking flasks now. Oh, this is a horrible attempt. It's such a fucking good one, too, last time.
Oh, watch out.
Fuck you.
I forgot about that move.
But the, putting the Earth Tree down, so if you can hover around it, it'll give you the regen, at least. It's over here. Ciao.
Fuck off. Just fuck off.
Yeah. See, like this shit. And then he does the back swipe, bro.
I've lost like 20k souls, that's fine.
Dude, I'm hitting the roll button. Why are you not roll? Fuck off. I'm just gonna go die over by the door. Jesus Christ. I'm hitting the dodge, and he's just like, nah, fam, fuck you. You didn't touch shit. Oh, man, that was such a fucking awful attempt, comparatively. We had such a good one, and then such a fucking horrible one.
Yeah. Normally it's like... Oh, I need to take that to the finger reader at some point, actually. The Lord of the Frenzied Flame. I didn't actually do that in Roundtable Hold.
Oh, yes. Yeah, you can make his weapon. Weapons are pretty cool.
Appreciate the contribution, Helican. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Oh, I always forget about using this spell first. Fuck. Fine, don't hit him immediately, because there's something I want to do for the first hit. Are you fucking kidding me, bro? Where the hell are my souls?
I think I found them. I found mine.
I don't see mine. What the fuck?
They might be
They're, like,
behind.
under one of these trees? What the shit?
It might be. Oh, I rolled too early. Fuck
Oh, I
off.
found them. Yeah, they were. They were over here under one of the trees. What the fuck? Sorry. I'm trying to...
I'm sorry.
Because there's one spell I have to, like, do that with in order to chunk his health immediately. That's what, like, that one only really works if you use it before he takes any damage.
Oh, whatever. Oh, what the fuck's he doing?
That.
Ah.
Why are my attacks not hitting? Bro! His fucking face! Like, why were my attacks not hitting him?
How I managed to roll out of that, I don't know. Oh.
Okay, yeah, uh-huh. Whatever. Fucking wail on him.
I'm doing.
Fuck off! I rolled! Bro! I rolled, you fucking horsecock! Get the fuck out of here! Fuck you, asshole! Fucking punch you in your goddamn eyeball.
Okay. He's one.
To re-up on, like, everything.
Oh, watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out. It's right on you.
He actually didn't hit me.
Oh,
Zoomies.
zoomies.
Ow. Fucking course, the wind-up on it took so goddamn long that...
Hate that as well. Sometimes he does one sweep, and then sometimes he does two, and it throws me. With those, those thorns.
Cool. I love that that just fucking missed. I love that fucking all my shit's missing. Dog. Uh-huh.
Ah! Oh, fuck off. How am I meant to dodge that? Oh, yeah, cool. Yeah, cool. Oh, yeah, just fucking wail on me. It's totally fine.
Is that okay?
Oh, watch out, watch out, watch out.
Uh-huh.
Might do it again as well.
The forward one.
Oof, did the back attack. Somehow.
Bro.
Oh, the fuck? Okay.
Okay, yeah, I don't know what that was, but whatever. It gave us a second to breathe. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, that was his emote to assert dominance, I think.
Right,
Oh,
exactly. That was
zoomies.
his version of it.
Oh, he switched to me right last second. That's nice.
Yeah, that was weird.
That was very nice. Oh, I am. Oh, I was out of. Fuck. As soon as he started doing the sweeps, I was out of sync with it, and I didn't roll properly.
Bruh. Are you fucking... He moved so quickly again. Can't even fucking see what's happening anymore.
Yeah, I find if I hit the root, I don't know if it's because of the swords I have. I don't do any damage.
It doesn't do as much damage.
No, I literally,
sure.
I'm hitting it,
and
and it's not even registering. Like I'm hitting it, and it's not even registering, and I'm like,
Oh my
okay.
god, bro!
Yeah, that's the. Oh, okay, yeah.
Look at just the fact that fucking kill me. Fuck you. Just fucking kill me. Oh my god. Immediately after the zoomies, he does the fucking backpedal.
Yeah,
bro.
literally no thing at all.
I couldn't dodge because I was still staggered from getting out of my dodge of the zoomies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's how he gets you.
Shit.
medium load. I got a funny feeling it's like a co-op thing.
Huh?
That icon's just it's just still annoying me.
Yeah, it's probably part of the co-op. I don't even know where I died, honestly. I think I died in front of the door, but I don't know.
Oh.
What?
No, I just you know that the fact that we had that one really good run and it's just like
Yeah, at this point, fuck it, I'm done.
yeah, it's just like oh, nice mimic.
Get
Okay.
in here, henchman. If nothing else than just for fodder.
Yeah, I've not taken a hit yet. That's
Oh, hey,
interesting.
he like presented his face to me pretty well. That's yep. Ow, that sucks. Cool. I love taking that much fucking damage.
Oh fuck. Ah. How are you gonna get out of that? Like
I don't know. But me and Bear,
that's
like,
interesting.
You're just fucking wailing on him.
if you pin him up against the rock, the sprays like oh fuck again.
Yeah. Didn't do anything.
No, they hit the wall before they hit the rock, so it's actually inside the rock, so it doesn't come out and hit you.
Very nice.
That like only like two or
Yeah,
three like
how much
rays came at me.
easier that is when I just used the win button. Fucking
Crazy,
summon
right,
mimic win game. Why
Yeah.
don't I just do more of that? Oh god.
I do have my mimic, but I don't it's not as good, so I
Yeah.
probably should.
Zoomies? Wow, my mimic is like super close to dead actually. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's taking all the hits. But,
Zoomies?
Fucking hell, dude. Like, that is just terrifying.
My mimic summoned back. That.
Like, I actually fucking saw that for a change.
Yeah.
Ah, fuck! No, no, don't you dare, don't you dare, don't you dare.
Oh my god. Oh god, that's not good.
Oh, fuck, that's not good.
Oh, not good. Oh,
Oh.
there goes my mimic.
Mimic's dead.
Can backpedal to Zoomies.
Ooh.
For that.
Okay. Yeah, all those like rays, like literally because he was in the wall, the rock was just hitting it. So it wasn't only like one or two were coming out.
Oh my god.
Basically.
And fucking what? I hit the dodge button, bro. Fuck off. Yeah, so I summoned my mimic too early as well. I think we need to get him through first phase at least.
Shall I
because the
summon
mimic
mine?
Way too much damage, and we need the extra fodder for like second and third phase. If you want to summon yours, like, go for it.
Oh, back attack, nice.
God, bro, the insane damage on the back pedal.
Yeah, it's nasty. Oh.
So
Oh,
he's-
again. Oof. Fucking
third,
hell.
Maybe? Yep, third. And then he's gonna sweep because he's on top of us. Smack. Yeah.
Actually fucking dodged that for a change. Imagine. Oh, two, double.
Ow!
Fuck, I got out of that just in time.
Come on. Fucking die! Okay. Summon your mimic. I'll get him. You summon your mimic. Just so that we have some fodder. And then heal.
Let's see how this goes. Oh fuck,
Oh, God.
he's just going. Oh,
Yeah.
he's already taking hits.
He's already on it.
Oh, that's the back attack. Fuck, he's already half health.
Yeah. Well, that's bad.
It lasted,
Bad first attack.
it lasted about 30 seconds.
Yeah, well, we got really unfortunate with that attack chain there, too.
Oh, zoomies.
I'm gonna get closer to the door because he's
So,
getting a little
far
bullshit
away.
with
Yeah,
his
yeah,
attack
yeah,
again.
yeah,
I'm getting closer to the door so that the souls aren't lost.
Oh, my souls are already lost, so that's fine.
Well, yeah, mine aren't though. I've
Yeah.
managed to find mine.
Yeah, I
surprisingly.
know. Yeah.
Come on, asshole, get over here. cutting down an Erd tree over
Oh,
here.
I forgot he's gonna do that. Fuck.
Dude, like, ugh, I'm trying to. Oh fuck! Well, ow.
I mean, that could have been worse.
Huh? Zoomies? Come on, bitch. Get over here. I've got my thing active, and of course you have to run to the opposite side of the fucking planet, you dickweed. Dude, just fucking get over here. Go be in a chode. Yep, there goes my fucking physics. So my physics was literally wasted because he was just on the opposite side of the planet when it was active.
Yeah.
Okay, yep. Cool. Ow.
I always do that.
I needed to heal regardless there.
Yeah, I know. But like, I always do it as well. Zoomies. And again.
Fuck off! Come on. Okay, of course.
Oh, he's going for it.
Fucking-
Whoa, whoa,
What
whoa.
fucking hell? I don't know how, but
Supernova. Oh, you're so close.
let me up. Let me hit him.
What is going on?
I don't know.
Oh, one more hit. Let's
Hey,
go.
fuck you.
Let's
Die in a
go.
corner. Die in a fire. Holy fucking Tripoli.
Oh, I got Mikula's great rune. Nice.
Yes, it's basically useless until the final boss of the DLC. Okay, whatever. We fucking whatever. We did it. It's fine. We did it. I don't care. We did it.
Oh my god, my game, you and my game was hilarious. It was like,
Yeah.
do you know like the Animus, where you're like loading into an Assassin's Creed level and it's just all like white?
Yeah.
It literally turned into that.
I want to pay attention because I think we got invaded again.
Right, okay, yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah.
They're probably going to be at the bonfire, so.
Yeah, there's nothing actually out there. Other than the boss fight, there's literally nothing out there.
Okay.
I mean, there's a cool view, but that's about it. Hey, we can totally warp. Let's just warp. Like, fuck
Right.
if someone's spawning in over there. Let's
No,
just
normally
go.
if you spawn in, you can't fast travel.
I know,
guess.
that's what I'm saying. It let me warp though. Like,
Yeah, so it can't be that.
just leave. Like,
Yeah, whereabouts are you now? Sorry.
the storehouse back section.
Oh, back yeah. I couldn't find it then for a second. Thank you for the GGs, Cinema. Thank you for the GGs. Okay, I can rest now. Thank God. Let me just level up real quick.
I got 260,000 runes for that.
I leveled up twice.
From what you got?
Yeah.
Jesus.
My mind is now 21. Which is
Okay.
quite accurate, actually.
21.
21. 9 plus 10.
I still do not have enough for a level
Oh.
up. I'm about halfway there. Yeah, good thing.
I
you
thought
didn't
you-
just
I thought you-
run off the
I thought you
cliff
went
or
down.
run into me.
I thought you went down there and I was like, oh, okay.
No, I had to pull the lever to bring it back up.
My mind is minus 21.
Oh wait, what the fuck? That takes way longer to come up than I thought. I thought it was like closer to the top. That's why I jumped. Oh well, whatever. Alright, hang on. Let me fix this real quick.
Let me clip that. Yeah, I'll just jump down. A few moments later.
My body just mangled and beaten fucking comes up the elevator. Haven't answered the question earlier. What question, Mendrith? I didn't see a question.
Mr. Ben Edges, everybody.
You shut your goddamn face.
Cinema said that.
When kick only run? I did answer it, Mendrith. I've already done the kick only run. I've basically beaten the game with kick only. That's what I did before I came into the DLC here with Welsh.
should have been. My name's Ben Edges. Welcome to Jackass. And it jumps.
Yeah, my name's Benny Jan, welcome to Jackass.
I'm gonna jump I'm gonna jump out elevator 20 feet away. Oh, I need to. Oh, I'm gonna try and grab this fragment on the
tree fragment.
Yeah.
Hey, did the knight drop anything for you over here or no?
Okay, got it. Oh, fuck! I backstepped again. God damn it.
It's fine. It's fine. Just come. Yeah, it's over on the side that I'm on.
Yeah, I'm going to the left. Isn't there like a ladder or something?
There's an elevator, literally right here next to me.
Am I going the right way?
No.
Oh, that was funny. That's good.
I love this sword. It's so good. Oh. Yeah, there's a shortcut right here.
Ah, okay.
I just kind of forgot this was here until you fell down again. See, then you
Shocker.
can ride this elevator up, and it literally just lets you jump back in the window there. So. Yep. There's no need to go back up there.
Oh.
All right, now at least. All right, go ahead and come on down. To the Price is Right. Yeah, I was saying, I don't know why you took the elevator up.
I didn't. For some reason, I thought it would kill me if I fell down. So.
No, that's how I got down here. Excuse me.
Oh, sunflower. Ooh, nice.
Yeah, I'm kind of done with sunflowers for a little bit.
Yeah. Just yeah.
Just for a little bit.
If I see them, I may just grab them and just rip them out of the ground, just for just.
Right. Neighbor growing sunflowers. The Vietnam flashback start kicking in. Fucking destroy! I know what you did to me.
You weren't there, man.
Yeah. Oh God, the explosions.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
goody. Oh,
What it was.
This is the thing you were telling me about, like, not to worry about for now, but we will worry about it later.
Well,
Kind of.
this is the thing that you were asking. What the fuck is that? And I said it's an illustrated creature. And it was like an
Yeah,
hour
it's just underwater, so don't worry about it right now. And it's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Fucking
Staggered it.
sabotage.
Go on, you got it.
I can't fucking hit it. Oh my God! It's because its head was in the fucking ground.
Yeah, the head was in the floor. But...
Ow. Ow.
That really, really hurt. That also really hurt.
God, I love this sword so fucking much. This sword is so fucking glorious.
Mantle of Thorns. Oh, is that the move that you do where you stab yourself and then thorns come out?
No. No, which I don't use that spell anymore because the spell got nerfed in the ground, so unfortunately it's no fun anymore.
Okay.
Because, of course, every time something fun comes out in a Dark Souls game, they're like, yep, can't have any of that.
No, you can't be having fun now, Ben. Come on now.
No fun sorceries allowed. Only garbage.
Yeah, this is 2024 video games. No fun is allowed.
Exactly, right? If you're not grabbing your dick and twisting in two directions, then you're not doing it right.
Exactly.
Although, I don't know, I guess some people might think that's...
Oh,
God,
hello.
crap! Yeah? How'd you like that, crab?
Krusty Krab.
Oh, Jesus! Fucking demolish that crab. There's just a million crabs over there. It's really fun.
Oh, Shadowrun Room 5. Nice. And crab eggs. Nice. Nice.
defeated the new WoW spiders, huh? I don't know what you're talking about, the new WoW spiders, Mendrith. Are you talking about, like, actual World of Warcraft, or are you talking about, like... No. Got this stuff here. Boy, string. I don't know how he didn't just hit me. But he absolutely, like, went through me. Oh, good God! Smacked me through a fucking wall.
Just when you thought one was bad enough, there's two. What the fuck is happening?
He's dancing. I don't know what the hell's going on. He's
Not gonna lie.
He's like on the edge of a cliff, and if we fall off, then we're dead.
Not gonna lie, like having the camera locked onto him was like a bit of a mindfuck.
Yeah, kind of bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh! Ow! Yeah, let's go inside the church real quick. Let's sit in here and recover real quick. Okay.
Fuck's it off now.
Over here.
Oh yeah, just walk into it.
I can't knock it down, but... Ow! Fuck! Fuck you. There we go. They're dead. They're dead for good now. Kill, murder, die. They have an arachnophobia filter for the new expansion. When you activate it, spiders become crabs. Oh, I didn't know that. I don't play WoW, Mendrith. I haven't played World of Warcraft in fucking eons.
I tried it.
I played World of Warcraft back when it was cool. Okay. I think that's like basically everything down here for the most part.
Okay.
There's this shortcut over here as well that leads back up, and then I'm trying to think because I know draining the water is like a necessity for certain things, but I don't remember.
What exactly?
I don't remember exactly. So there's. Ow. Okay, so yeah, this leads back up to the first bonfire we had here.
Okay. I need a rest in the because I got no flasks.
Yep, and I need to run to the restroom anyways, so I'm gonna chill here, and hopefully if we get invaded, you can murder them this time. I'll be right back.
Okay. Oh. We're being literally as soon as Ben said, I'll be right back, we get invaded. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like... Ben's sense of comedic timing is fucking immaculate. We're gonna get invaded. In 3, 2... Oh, no. Oh, no. I kind of want to go to Round Table Hold real quick.
Did we seriously get invaded, or what happened?
No. I think it was about to happen, then it didn't happen.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to go to Round Table Hold.
Standing up now. And why did I hear freaking out? What happened?
Well, you got up, and then I looked at the map really quickly, and I couldn't fast travel, so I was like, shit. And then it was like, oh, you can rest now, and I was like, oh, okay, so it's fine. I'm gonna go to Round Table Hold really quickly just to get those finger reader stuff done.
Go for it. Yeah. Go make the sword from the madness dude or whatever. Huh?
The finger reader's just fucking floating like 10 feet in the air.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little interesting. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Power from Remembrance? So we've got Sunflower Blossom, which is an actual weapon. Or Land of Shadow. Okay. Or I can get the Great Sword of Damnation. Or Midra's Flame of Frenzy.
You want the Great Sword of Damnation.
Hmm.
Because the Midra's Flame of Frenzy is an incantation, but it's beefy. Like, you have to have a really high faith to use it, I think.
Yeah, yeah. It was like 40.
Yeah.
I'll get the Colossal Weapon from the Sunflower as well then.
Yeah, the sunflower stuff is real crap. Honestly, it's not super worth getting any of this shit, but
Eh.
it's like it's whatevs.
Whatever's in it. Hey, congrats on the catch, right? Did I get anything from my... Nope, I didn't get a Ghost Glove worth 5. That's... Can I upgrade my swords? No, I need a Smithing Stone 7, which I don't have. I have 5 and 6s, and probably an 8, but I don't have a 7.
You should be able to go buy them. Or no, 7? Fuck no, because the bell bearing for that is at like the end of the game, and we haven't gone there yet.
I think I got up to 4, maybe 4 or 5. I think it's I can buy up to.
I was gonna say should be 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and then 5 and 6, because I think we got all 3 of the bell bearings.
I'll check the shop. Oh wait, whoa! Door's open, and I see somebody in red on the floor.
Yeah, don't worry about it. That's the Dung Eater. He's one of the NPCs for one of the endings, but we're not gonna bother with him because his shit is annoying and his ending kind of sucks. It's just a slight variation on the basic bitch like Elden Lord ending.
Okay. I can get. Oh no, I've only got normal smithing stones. I don't even have. I can't get the other ones.
From the Twin Husks, you have.
Ooh.
Huh? I could have sworn that we went and got all the bell bearings for you.
I guess we didn't.
Can you offer them the bell bearings?
Moldmonger? Oh, hang on. I don't think I offered it. Maybe that's.
Yeah. I want to say make sure you give them all the bell bearings you have as well. They're gonna be like miner's bell bearing or something like that is what they're called.
No, I didn't have them. I had Moldmonger, but I didn't have them. I got Smithing Stone 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's all I can buy.
Okay, so then we didn't go get the miner's bell bearing 3, which is Smithing Stones 5 and 6.
Mine's the ones I'm looking for are somber ones, so probably different again.
Oh, you need somber 7?
Yeah.
Okay, so that would be the.
Let me check what ones I have.
Because I think it's.
Yeah. I have Smithing Stone 7s. Yeah, I got 6 and 8. 6, 8, 9, and 10. I just don't have 7. I literally just don't have 7. And then the Ghost Glove I have. Yeah, I have 2, 3, then 6, 8, 9, and 10. I need 5.
Any of the others for you?
I need 5, and then probably 7 or 8, and then just get the mimic tier up a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was completely and utterly pointless.
When you warp back in, warp to the storehouse first floor bonfire. We're gonna go ahead and start. Actually, wait, hold on. Let me make sure this doesn't lead to where I think it does. This might lead to where we actually need to go. The back section bonfire. Yeah, actually, go ahead and warp to the back section bonfire.
Okay.
And you come back. Yeah.
I might just.
Ow! What?
I might just run downstairs and just get a drink and stretch and stuff.
Jesus, what the fuck? All the enemies despawn. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, cool. I will be right back.
Why did he despawn? Because you rested.
Yeah, that's my.
Like, where the fuck did my enemies just despawn?
That's on me. I'll be right back.
Yeah, no worries. Go for it. All right, bitches, get over here. I don't remember. That's where the spell. Fuck, I don't remember. I'm confuzzled.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay, welcome back. I have acquired the next bonfire. Let me warp back to where you are. Oh, what the fuck? Cannot travel inside of Grace during multiplayer. Huh? Oh, did we get invaded?
I think we might be getting invaded.
Yeah, because it won't let me rest either. Alright, let me come back down. So it's like, can't travel during multiplayer. The fuck do you mean? We've been in multiplayer this whole time.
Can't do that here. Oh, no, we can. Yeah, you can now.
Oh,
Try now.
again? Okay.
Yeah, try now.
The back section. Needly, needly, needle.
Sorry for checking my items.
Yeah. Okay. This way. Should be some dead dudes over here. Cool. Since you didn't rest, everything should stay dead at least. Thankfully.
Oh, carrion thrusting shield. Thrusting.
Yeah, that's one of the new weapon. One of the new weapon types that they added with this DLC. There's a couple of thrusting shields, basically, so that you can like block an attack at the same time. It's really weird.
Okay.
There was a like super busted build with them right when the DLC came out, but then they heavily nerfed like how the thrusting shield attacks and like how many times it attacks or whatever. So, which kind of sucks again that they have to just nerf everything instead of like buffing other things to make them more viable.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand why devs are so hell bent on that. I mean, I understand still wanting a challenge. So if something's like so busted that you just look at something once and it dies, like that makes sense. But if it's something that like the normal enemies it'll kill in one hit, but then like bosses, you still have to put effort into.
Yeah.
Don't nerf that into the ground. Like,
please.
Let that still thrive. Just buff other things to be that good as well, so that other builds can be viable as well.
Really?
It's so annoying. It's like the main reason why I just gave up on Borderlands 3 and Diablo 4. I was like so excited for those games, and then literally everything fun within the first 2 months of Borderlands 3 coming out, or first month or two actually of Borderlands 3 coming out, they nerfed all of the fun gun builds.
Yeah.
And made it just obnoxious to try to grind for the end game loot. And then in Diablo 4, it was like the same kind of shit. They had like 3 builds that a lot of people were using just because they were so bustedly strong to try to clear the end game content, so that they didn't have to put like 100 hours a week into the end game content just to make any fucking progress.
Yeah, and then they were like, no.
Blizzard was like, well, we can't have that. So they nerfed it all into the ground. So now you legitimately, like, if you want to keep up with the end game grind, you legitimately have to put in like 50 hours a week of Diablo 4 playtime. Which is just...
I played Diablo 4, and I was like, I played the story, and I was like, yeah, Rogue's fun. It was fun. I'd like...
Rogue was fun. I had a blast with Sorcerer or Sorceress before they nerfed her into the ground.
Yeah, like the abilities I was using, like the throwing knives, you could like attack ability you could do. I think it was stuff like that, and it was like this is really cool. And then I did like, and then when they did like, oh, here's the first season, and I was like, huh? And I was like, okay.
Yeah, the first season was awful. The second season was awful too, if I remember right. I think it was the third one that they finally kind of got their shit together. But
because it's on season 4 now, isn't it?
Because all the crap that they were changing just kind of... Because the way they wanted to do it, it was like, with every season, they were like, oh, well, we want people to use the new stuff. So to get them to use the new stuff, we're going to force them to use it instead of... Motherfucker.
Oh, it did both
we're
of
going to
us.
force them to use it instead of, like, letting them use it of their own volition. It was like, we're going to force them to use it by nerfing all of the other stuff they've been using.
Yeah.
And forcing them into this, like, new gear build that we want them to test out.
Yeah, it did feel like that, because I was like,
in order to
when
like any of the seasonal content or whatever, you had to like use the new gear, and it was obnoxious.
When the
it was obnoxious.
When the first season started, it was like, I was like, okay, and then I went to do something, and it was like, oh yeah, and then like because I was like level what was the max level, like 40?
60 or 70.
All right, okay.
No, max level is still... Max level, even before the seasons came out, was still 100. I think it just, like, people weren't really that high. Like, the max difficulty scaling is, like, 80, I think, or whatever.
Ah, okay. Yeah, well, I think
you have to be level 80 to play on the max difficulty or something like that.
All right, okay. I think I got, like, all the skills and stuff unlocked, or the ones I wanted and maxed out and stuff. I think it was like 40 or 50. I think I can't remember off the top of my head, but...
Yeah, to unlock all the skills on any class, I think you had to be in the 70s, but I don't remember.
Yeah, it wasn't like every single skill, but it was like one on each tree that I wanted to do and stuff like, and all that malarkey.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
And I got to like the master skill at the end, and I was like, okay, this is fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's about level 50, and I was like, okay, and then the new season started, and I was like, huh?
Ow! Fucking what the hell?
Oh.
Over here trying to catch Pokemans, and this asshole's throwing shit at me.
Oh. Yeah, and then I just started the new season, and then I immediately was like, oh, my attacks are not doing anything. I was like,
Yeah, it was
huh.
stupid.
I was like, this is
Back up,
fine.
please.
Sorry.
This dude is here just to be a piece of shit. He's literally just here to knock you off these platforms and be a piece of shit.
But yeah, it was just like, oh, yeah, nothing works now. And I'm like, okay. So I played it for like a day, and I was like, yeah, I'm kind of done with Diablo 4 now.
Yeah, it was fucking pointless. So yeah, we dropped down. Yeah. There are some other items around this area that I'm not really bothering to take you to right now, just because they're
That's fine.
not really worth it.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. But yeah, it was just. I think I've poured way more times in Diablo 3 than Diablo 4.
Oh, absolutely, dude. I have like thousands of hours in Diablo 3. Diablo 3 was great.
Yeah, I think I did 2 or 3 like campaigns of different characters, if I'm not mistaken. I think my first one was Monk.
Monk is fun.
I did Monk. I didn't use a staff. I was unarmed, I think, by the end of it. I was...
Yeah, the fist weapons were the way to go with the Monk, because you could put different stats on like the different fist weapons and just boost your damage like exponentially. The staff being a two-handed weapon, you like couldn't maximize. You couldn't like min-max your damage output as effectively.
Yeah. And then I think I did. So I did Monk the first time, and then I think I did Demon Hunter second time around.
Demon Hunter's pretty good. She's one of the more challenging characters to like properly use because of how her setup works, but she's a good one.
Yeah, and then I think the third one was, I can't remember. I think I started a third one with like Barbarian or something, and I was like, and then I think I just kind of burnt myself out of the game at that point, and I was like, yeah, I'm done.
See, I love that to this day, though, the fucking Whirlwind Barbarian is still a viable thing. Like, even in Diablo 4, kind of, you can kind of get away with the Whirlwind Barbarian. It's not anywhere near as busted, but it's still, like, absolutely a thing you can do.
I think I remember that at the start of Diablo 4, it was people were just using Barbarian, and it was just like, yeah, this is just busted.
Yeah, because fucking Whirly Barb has always been busted since it was introduced in like Diablo 2 or something. Yeah. Like it's always been busted because you literally just spin to win.
Pretty much.
Like that's the whole point is you just keep spinning constantly, and as you're hitting things, you're generating more fury so that you can keep spinning. But because you're hitting like 6 things at once with one spin, you're generating more fury than you're consuming. So you can effectively just spin forever. As long as you're hitting shit.
Spinning infinity.
So it's I mean, it's fun. Like, it's funny. But it's definitely one of those builds that's like, you literally only have to hold one button in order to perform the build. So it's super simple. If you have the gear set up for it. Like, it's super simple to use. And it's great for, like, clearing in-game content. But if you want, like, anything to feel new or challenging or refreshing at all, it's not really like it's not an option. One of those builds. It's just something that's one of the busted builds to help you clear shit super fast.
That's fair. I remember because the first Diablo I played was, I think we had 2 on the PC. And I played a little. I remember playing it as a kid, and I played a little bit of it. I think I was still in the first like sort of area, and like, you know, just kind of was running around a little bit. Have mercy for the spirited away shamans. Oh.
Yes. So remember that gesture we went and picked up?
The one.
The oh mother gesture. This is where you use it right here at the statue.
Okay. We use it now?
Yep.
Yeah, find it. Strength, running cry, finger snap, prayer, no.
So, but sorry to interrupt, but you were saying?
No, it's because I do have. I think I have it on my PlayStation. I have the resurrect. Is it the remake? Not remake.
Yeah,
the remaster they did.
Or whatever, Diablo 2 Resurrected.
Yeah. I got that on my. I think I did buy that at one point, and I probably should try and
I
play
was
it at some
considering
point.
getting that, but again, I didn't have people to play it with, and then
Yeah.
I heard like a lot of bad things coming out about it with like
Yeah.
balancing issues, and that it still didn't like run.
Did we get
great,
it?
stuff like that, so-
What's it called?
Huh?
What was the gesture called?
Oh mother!
I don't have that.
We definitely went and got it in Bonnie Village, for sure.
Oh,
I know we ran out of our way to get it. It looks like this.
okay. No, that's just prayer.
Oh, hey, I guess I opened the door from back here. Whoops.
Well, that worked, I guess.
Yeah. Whatever works, right? Yeah, you're just Tim Tebowing now.
Yeah, I am. Just kind of.
Whatever. We'll go get you the gesture just so that way you can make sure you have it, but
Yeah, I don't have it.
yeah, that's weird. I could have sworn we went over and grabbed that.
Huh.
But okay, let's rest, make sure that you don't have any of your thingamajigs, your
Oh, I
curses or
can.
whatever.
Oh, I can upgrade my blessing. Predatory blessing.
Yeah, let's do that.
Now 11.
Mhm.
Nice. Right, are we going through the door?
No, we're gonna go this way first. There's a couple of important things out here first.
Shadow view.
Get ready for stupid, by the way.
Oh, Commander Gaius. Hi. Oh, the
This
guy on
boss-
horseback.
This boss is one of the ones that I had that was like really annoying because he's just kind of a pain in the ass.
I can see why.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is this one of these ones you got to ride on horseback for?
You don't have to. Ow.
Yeah, he did that, and it was just like didn't even give me a chance to heal. So.
Yep. Oh my god, dude. Fucking Christ. Bruh.
Hmm.
I should probably apply the buffs sooner as well. Come on, game, load. Okay. Yeah, it's funny. They actually had to adjust this boss because when the DLC first came out, it was messed up. So like whenever after the very first time you challenged him, he didn't spawn in the same spot. He would
Oh.
spawn in a different spot, and it would fuck people up because he'd like get to them too quickly, so they
Yeah.
couldn't apply any of their buffs or anything.
That's actually quite funny.
Yeah. Oh shit! I need to fucking get my room before I fuck around too much.
Oh, okay. Well, Mimic's dead.
Oh, my Mimic 2 died. Okay, Mr. Space Boar or whatever. Wow, okay, jackass. Hit me through walls now.
What is that gravity magic?
Yes.
Jesus, so he's one of Radahn's boys then.
Kind of. He's not one of Radahn's guys. He's one of Mesmer's, actually. Oh my god.
Just got fucking two shots.
Bro, fuck off! The delay on his attacks is just so annoying.
Literally got two shotted.
Yeah. I don't know why my Mimic just imploded all of a sudden.
Hmm.
Like, my Mimic should be stronger than that. I have a much better blessing. Ow. Ow. Oh, excuse me. Actually, let me see something. I want to see if the mimic actually can enter.
That'd be kind of nice if it does.
Oh. You rested and it wiped my mimic.
Oh, my bad. I wanted to rest just to make sure, just to make
yeah,
make
my
sure.
mimic here just like poof.
Yeah, I wanted to rest just to make sure the rot essence disappeared.
Okay, we'll do this. We'll do this. We'll do this.
Isn't he does come?
I'm hoping he does.
I would have thought. He's not. He's just kind of standing there. He's running. He's running, but he can't get through.
Oh, he can't get through.
No. Unless we both come through.
Well. Ow.
Yeah, that's fair.
Whatever. Well, now I know. Ow, I can't move! Fuck off, Gaius. Ass.
He did that move, and it was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna like not bother.
Going temper hit.
Cool, totally dodged that. But okay.
Yeah, this is... Yeah. Him fucking running is like the worst shit ever.
Oh, okay. Just let me just run, turn around, and then like 360, just punk. That's about
Yep,
fair.
I'm dead. Yeah, so we need to get in there before we summon anything. Yeah. I also need to see. I think this was the dude that was like the reason why I used the frost spell that I was using before, but I'd really rather not respec my build again if I don't have to.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
As annoying as this guy is, I really would rather not respec my whole build again just for one spell if I don't have to. Let me check something real quick here. What is it called again? What is it called again? Oh yeah, you need 36 intelligence. Fuck.
Big oof.
I have 17. Shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I couldn't even get to that with like talismans and stuff. Well, that's unfortunate. Let's do this.
Can you get him off his horse, or is it just like
No.
He dies on the.
Literally has no legs, so he's like bolted to the board.
Okay, he's bolted to the ball. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he's charging at me, so you've got a bit of free reign here.
Yeah, I'm trying to heal back at my urge.
Oh, yeah, just don't dodge. Just don't even dodge. That's fine.
Come on back here. 'Cause if we can get him like stuck on these walls, he doesn't move around as much.
And that took like a third of the mimic's health away.
Oh my god. Bro, I'm hitting the dodge button. What do you want from me?
He hits like an absolute truck.
Yeah.
How the fuck I dodged that, I don't know.
Oh, but my mimic is healing herself at least, so.
Something, I guess. I should probably try and get my souls.
Oh my god.
Literally,
He
like,
moves so fucking much that I can't get my hits off on him.
Fuck off. Okay.
Ow, okay. Alright,
Oh, where the fuck?
son of a
Oh,
bitch.
okay, he's going. He's doing something.
Yeah, man. He can sit over there and do it in the corner.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, he was kind of stuck against the wall there. That's basically how you fight him.
Look at me,
There's
chance.
not really like a legitimate way to fight this guy. It's pretty much just trying to utilize things like sticking him in a corner.
I had literally full health, and he one-shots me. Okay. Oh, is it because he's in phase 2 now, where he like does like...
Bro! Like, the fucking hitting me through my dog! Through my dodge! What the fuck? What up, Zedgelord? How you doing? How's it going? Not too bad. We've beaten one annoying DLC boss today. We're on another really annoying one. And then we're working towards the third and final one we're going to do for the day. I don't know how much longer you were planning on staying on, Welshie, but if we've got like an hour and a half left at least, then I think we can get to where I wanted to end today.
Probably like another hour.
Yeah, okay. So then we might be able to do it.
I got key. You're just chilling over there.
Yeah. So go ahead and summon your mimic too. Just so that we've got some extra fodder. Then here.
Oh, did I die without getting my runes? Oh, that's depressing.
Huh?
Did I die without getting my runes?
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I think I did, because I can't see them anywhere. Wait, huh? Oh. Well, my mimic's dead, I think.
Nah. Be expected, but
Yeah. Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah, I think I lost like a level of runes.
how many?
150k.
Oh, that's great.
Yep, that's fine.
Ow! Fucking hell, dude. He hits so hard.
Okay.
Bro. Bro!
He does. Yeah, he does.
just doesn't fuck off.
Oh.
He's staggered. He's staggered.
No! Come on. I was right there.
Okay, whatever. He's like almost dead. Just keep wailing on him. Yeah! You
Okay.
guys, you piece of shit!
Let's fucking
Technically
go.
one phased. I don't care. He just never initiated phase 2, so
No.
fuck it. I'll take that.
Yeah, unless I can't.
Fuck it,
no.
whatever. It's not the cleanest, it's not the best, but fucking whatever, we did it.
We did it. I need to. Let me just use my runes really quick
There's
then.
a bonfire over here that we're going to.
Oh, hang on. I'm just leveling up before I forget. And lose them
I
again.
was gonna say, like, yeah, there's a bonfire that spawned in his arena. That's the direction we're going. Then there's a dead end over here that we were gonna go to.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
literally the whole point of getting through Gaius is so that you can get to the Shadow View altar, which is it has like 6 fucking Shadow Tree fragments in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's like the whole reason for going over here. So you can level up your blessing a bunch of times, pretty much.
I think if it's 6, it's probably twice, isn't it?
Huh?
I think if it's 6 fragments, it's like twice. I think it's 3
2
three
or
fragments.
3, yeah, because I don't know if it costs 2 for you now or 3.
3. It costs 3 for me now.
3? Okay, then yeah, that'd be twice.
The last one. The
There's
last one I did was
also
3.
some bitch out here with a bow that rides around on a wolf.
Oh, yeah.
We need to keep an eye out for her.
Okay. Like murder, or
What?
like we're gonna murder her, or
Yes, we're gonna kill her and steal her pants.
okay. That's proof of our victory.
Well, yeah. You'll see. Yep, here she is. Okay. I thought she was over here.
Oh,
See, she's
ow.
got this special wolf. Oh my god, this bitch doesn't want to hold still. She's just like fucking Gaius.
Okay.
Bruh! Hold still.
Hold still, you devil. There you go, then.
There we go.
Gaius's Greaves.
Yep, so she technically actually had Gaius's pants, but yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sharp shot talisman
Now,
as well.
read the description on the pants.
Okay.
The description on those pants is actually really, really funny.
Black iron greaves made for Commander Gaius, a cruel joke for he could not wear them.
Because he doesn't have legs.
No. Riding atop the boar, he called his other half. Gaius was in fact a warrior of albinoric extraction.
Yes, meaning he was an artificial human, basically, an artificial being.
Nice.
Crafted from silver.
Why is it so windy inside an arena? It's all those fans. What do computers and air conditioners have in common? They both become useless when you open Windows.
I hate you so much.
Thank you, Cinema, for those.
I'm gonna go find a cliff real quick for no particular reason.
I mean, that's factually incorrect, because it's a computer is fine when it has Windows. It's just a Mac. That's the problem.
Which is honestly even worse. Macs are worse than
Yeah.
Windows computers, which is saying something, because Windows is not a good operating system. So
No. Oh, no.
there's not really any truly good operating system.
Oh, wow. There's just fragments everywhere.
Yeah, I told you, there's just a shitload of fragments over here. That's the whole point we were coming over here for.
Nice.
Look, I'm in the bow.
Get in the bowl.
Oh god, I can't get out of the bowl.
Help.
Horse!
Can I get out
Yeah.
without needing
Okay,
a horse?
cool.
No. That's like, can I get out without needing a horse? And it's like, no. That's the answer.
No, not really. But okay, cool. So yeah, we did that. So now we warp back to the first floor bonfire, and we should be good to go.
Okay. I did Cinema. I did like that one. I did like that one.
So you go ahead and like level up your stuff that you need to level up here, just to kind of save on time. I'm just gonna start like clearing enemies and whatnot.
Okay, it's level 12, and I think I need one more to get it to 13. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I'm one fragment short.
Okay. Do you see where I'm at over here?
Oh, okay, yeah.
What the fuck? What is this guy?
I think because I rested,
Out of here.
maybe. Lots of books.
Ooh, the lever! Alright, here we go.
Ooh, Bulk Drake Talisman +3. Nice.
Yeah. Secret tunnel.
That's it.
Secret tunnel.
We love the secret tunnel.
Dude is asshole.
Ow. Excuse me, that wasn't very
What?
nice.
Eh. Alright.
Ow.
Alright, once you're done
Ow.
with those guys over there, then come on inside this little room over here and we're gonna talk to Ansbach a little bit. Scooby. Over there in the corner. Sure Ansbach.
Oh yeah, it's just
Who's
chilling.
actually, like, in my opinion, the coolest NPC added with this
Righteous
DLC.
Tarnished.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's been some time.
he's
Hey, buddy.
super
After
magnificent.
unburdening
Huh?
my soul to
It's
you,
like, hey,
I
buddy.
hoped to make a fresh start. But there was one thought I could
Oh, I
not
forgot that
dislodge
his
from my
needs-
mind.
Oh, you can't dislodge something from his mind.
Here I
Huh?
am.
Apparently, he can't move
quite
on.
unable to move on.
Yeah, no, he's trying to. I mean, he'll
Lord
explain.
Moak's slain at his dynastic palace.
Yeah.
It appears his body has been obscured.
And then he has one last
Oh, okay.
job for us to do basically here.
Okay.
Surely you recall that I once served Lord Moog as a pureblood knight, after failing him in every regard, and losing sight of my vows. I'd do anything to make amends, in whatever meager way I can.
Right. Okay.
What could they possibly have in mind for
Yep.
Lord
So we have to
Moog's
find
remains?
like the
The remains of.
Sensations are rather unnerving.
Apparently, the Lord Moog's remains are like.
What could they possibly have in mind for
Yeah,
Lord
that's what he's
So
saying. What could it-
basically, he's saying that that Mikola and like some other people like Mikola's followers and stuff, some of the other
Yeah.
followers took Moog's remains after we killed Moog,
Mhm.
and then brought Moog's remains here to the realm of Shadow.
Okay.
Of Shadow. And he's trying to figure out why. Ansbach is trying to figure out why, because he still technically has respect and serves his lord.
Yeah.
So he doesn't want them like desecrating the corpse, basically, or he's trying to
Basically,
figure out why they would desecrate the corpse instead
Yeah.
of letting it be properly buried as a demigod.
And like and because he was under the blessing of Mikola, now it's shattered. He's like kind of got his senses
Yeah,
back
now
and
he
stuff.
can see everything for
Yeah.
what it truly is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I did forget though. There was one thing that we needed to do real quick. I don't remember where this path leads.
Oh,
See,
Runa.
second.
Nice.
Nice. That's nice to get. I don't remember where this one goes, but we'll see. And then we might need to warp back actually to the back gate and go through the secret tunnel that was behind the statue, because I forgot that's what we were going there for.
Yeah. We can always check
Sorry,
this.
I am I've been super tired lately, so my brain has just been kind of all over.
No,
the
you're
place.
you're fine. You're fine.
Oh,
All good.
I remember this fucking horrible,
Oh,
horrible
okay. I
place.
just walked straight into that. Flying pot tornado I just walked into. Nice.
Yeah, I remember how horrible this place is.
That's got to be a fake door. Nope. Okay.
Nope. I don't remember where the fake doors are, if there even are any out here. I was just checking just to be safe.
It just screamed like fake wall.
Ow!
Oh, the ectoplasms are back.
Pigeon landed on my fucking forehead.
I did see that. That was quite interesting. Oh, there's more.
Okay, can you not? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're just sliding out. I am mentally scarred after seeing that.
You what?
Just throwing their being at you. It's just like, nice.
Yeah, they literally like rip pieces of themselves off. to
Yeah,
throw
just
at you.
just
And
to
then of
throw.
course, without any explanation, it just homes in on you.
Yeah, exactly. Just because why not?
Like magic floating chunks of meat, and they just home in on you. Why the hell not, right?
Yeah, exactly. Makes total sense. Like that doesn't need explaining at all. Why would they explain that? It just makes logical sense from the get-go. What the fuck?
What?
What was all that, like, red stuff?
The shit on the floor? That's the stuff coming out of the
Oh.
out of that thing.
Ah,
It
right.
summoned like goop and stuff.
I was a bit concerned then for a second. Iris of Grace, another one. Nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's technically 2 Irises of Grace and 2 Irises of Occultation in any one
Oh,
playthrough.
hefty cracked pot. Nice. I can make another one of those furnace pots.
So you can technically get like both occult or both grace rewards from the 2 side quests that use them.
Ah, okay.
In like a single playthrough if you really need to.
Yeah.
But
Probably up to you, sort of thing.
yeah, since the one quest is messed up, we don't really need to worry about that too much.
That's fair.
The fuck is this again? Oh, wait. Yeah, okay, I remember why we have this place. Yeah. Okay, so we'll get that so that we can warp back here later. Go ahead and rest to top up on things, and then we'll warp back to the back gate bonfire. Because yeah, that one that we just unlocked there is for later. That one is one that we need after we beat the entirety of the Shadow Keep. We basically take that path down there towards like the end of the DLC.
Ah, okay. I see.
Yep.
Are we gonna go through Secret Tunnel now?
Yes, we are going through the secret tunnel. So, like I said, if you've got about an hour left, then we should be able to get through
Yeah.
enough of this. Alright, there's a bonfire over here.
Oh, this is very pretty.
What?
Very pretty.
Yes. I know, right? It's like, it's such a drastic contrast from what we
Yeah.
just came from.
Actually, yeah, it actually. This looks like normal.
Right? Oh shit, I didn't mean to do that. Oops.
Hinterland. Ah, okay. Then you go around here, and then it dropped down to this, like, dark area.
So back here, actually, this entire like secret optional area has a few things tied to it. So there's, first off, I'll take you over to where
Oh,
to the
Listen,
Shaman Village. The Shaman Village is where the Shaman Village is actually where Marika's from. Queen Marika, the
Oh, yeah.
goddess. Yeah, the Shaman Village is where she's from.
ow. Back over.
He's not losing health for me. Fuck.
He's about a third down. He's about halfway now.
Yeah, on my screen, he definitely is not halfway. He also doesn't have a boss health bar at the bottom of the screen.
Oh, that's not good. He's nearly dead. Like, a tenth of the health. Okay, he's nearly dead now. Yeah, he's dead.
Yeah. It's like, I'm just gonna keep hitting him and eventually he'll die, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm sure
but
he'll
we'll
die.
see.
Oh my god,
We shall
blessing America. Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, there's
Is that a white stripe masculine? I don't know, QB. Maybe.
Oh, there's a summon sign here.
Whose?
It looks familiar.
What's the name on it?
it's the woman
Who?
from the cathedral.
Letta?
Yeah, I think it looks like Letta.
Well, does it? I'm gonna say, does it have a name? Because it should tell you.
Oh, Sword Hand of Knight Yolan.
Oh, yeah, it's Yolan, not Letta. Yolan, the fucking gender bend Sauron.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's. I just noticed the gold summon sign. I was like, huh.
She can be summoned to fight these tree sentinels because technically speaking, both of the sentinels make up the boss fight. So like, you're meant to run after this one and then have the other one like surprise you so that you have to aggro both of them at the same time. Like, that's how they want you to do it, but because I knew the other one was there, I purposely did not run in after this one.
Yeah, that's fair. Nice. That frost damage.
Yep.
Has this one got a health bar for you now, or are you still...
Really, I mean, he doesn't have like a proper boss health bar. He has a health bar like a regular enemy does,
Oh,
which
okay.
is really weird.
Funny.
But the health bar like the regular enemy does is not going down at all.
Well, it's just under halfway.
Not really. I mean, it is slowly, but not really.
Yeah, it's about a third. In our quarter.
Okay, I need to heal. Alright, time to heal. Stop fucking around. White one spawned one time I've seen was
Oh,
during
there goes my
Fisherman
horse.
ages ago. Apparently recently, Zedgelord, because that's the second or third white stripe to have spawned in like 2 weeks.
Nice. Let's go.
It was changed recently. Jonas the Demon confirmed. Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, another
Okay,
blessing.
cool.
Another
So
blessing of
that's-
America. Nice.
Yeah. So that's literally all of those guys, and that's all Yolan would help you with is fighting those two.
Okay.
You can explore around like over there and stuff later if you want to just kind of like see cool
Awesome.
stuff. But first, we're gonna go up here and we're gonna go to the Shaman Village because here you can see one just how pretty everything is.
Oh yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah. Two, you get to see where Marika's from,
Nice.
and also grab this.
Minor Erdtree. Aha.
That's the really expensive incantation that you need like 72 faith in order to use, or 70 faith in order to use. So
Nice.
you probably won't be using it anytime soon. But you have it
It's
in
handy.
case you need it later at some point. In case you want to respec. And then the other thing is up here. What?
Sorry, I just coughed.
Oh, I thought you were like, oh, like you saw something or something.
No, I just
But-
coughed.
but-
I needed a cough.
But yeah, so that golden braid, you can read the description of that. Give you a bit of backstory into America and the shamans and stuff.
Boosts holy damage negation by the utmost. A braid of golden hair cut loose. Queen Marika's offering to the grandmother. Boosts holy damage negation by the utmost. What was her prayer? Her wish? Her confession? There is no one left to answer. America never returned home again.
So it's assumed that basically
Oh.
what happened was America gave the grandmother, the head like shaman lady,
Yeah, a piece of herself.
that golden lock as a token of saying goodbye.
Yeah.
And then after leaving her village here, went on her crusade amongst the realm of shadow.
Yeah.
And that was like her sin, her confession, basically.
Yeah.
Is that she was leading the crusade and leaving the realm of shadow.
Yeah.
And that's what she like confessed, basically. And
To the
then,
grandmother, yeah.
yeah, and then basically after the crusade was over, she abandoned Mesmer here and sealed the doorway between the land of shadow and the lands between in an attempt to cover up her shame, essentially, from leading a massively genocidal crusade against
The entire land.
people here. Yeah, like the
Yeah.
people here. So, but and then the minor Erdtree, I think, gives a little bit more lore into that,
Right.
into like America and stuff, but I don't remember. Where's the path down? The fuck is the path down?
Well, from the, judging by the map, it must be around here somewhere.
Oh, here it is. I found it. I just all the grass and like
Yeah, you
flowers
can't see the-
makes it really hard to see the actual path. Like it's pretty and all, don't get me wrong, but it makes it really hard to see.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Yeah. Again, we're gonna kind of speed through this little side area just because there's a bunch of like extra side shit that I don't really feel like dealing with right now.
No, that's fair.
And also, we want to make sure that we actually have enough time to do the end of this side quest before you have to get off.
Well, actually, I probably should have rested, actually. Like, I haven't got many.
I mean, there's another bonfire up here, so.
And I got a load of... And I can level up as well, so...
So you can tell by the environment just what we're running into here.
Oh, it's the finger people again.
Mm-hmm.
Yay! Why is there like like
just
metal
fucking
turds
love
on?
it.
It's just metal turds on the floor. This is nice.
Yeah, exactly. Giant metal finger-shaped space turds
Yeah.
for no apparent reason.
No, just don't question it. Just don't question it.
Okay. All right, then there's another bonfire here, so if you want to take a rest real quick, you can go for it.
Hold up. I am 30. Oh, actually, I think I have.
Wait. If you're close to a level up, then just come with me.
No, hang on. I got.
I
I
was
can.
gonna say because there's another thing we can fight like right next to us that we can kill real quick to get you some runes.
No, I got runes from what we picked up before, so that's fine.
Oh, but still though. Okie dokie.
24 mind now, so that's nice.
Nice. Yeah, so I would say start pumping back into either damage, health, or endurance.
I think we might be getting invaded.
What?
I can't rest, and we can't fast travel.
Okay, well, then let's quickly go this way. We'll try to grab one I want to grab over here, and then we'll go for the big horn.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I just have to kind of see the path down. This place very much sucks, by the way. Like, it looks ugly as hell. The enemies suck. Like,
It's just
this place is just awful.
such a stark comparison to where we just were.
Exactly, right? Oh, hey, Mr. Finger Spider.
Oh no. I think we can fast travel now, so
Ow.
I think we're good. Ow.
I'm getting fucking eaten by little spiders. Get off him. I can't move. I literally can't move.
Ow.
Oh my god, will you fuck off?
Oh well, there goes my horse, and I'm nearly dead. Oh, okay.
Yep. That they got me too. Cool. Oh god. Fucking, I literally couldn't move because I was stuck between two of them and you.
I was staggered because I fell off my horse, so I couldn't get out.
I couldn't move.
Fucking dumb. So
man.
dumb.
I hate these fucking spiders, dude. I hate these fucking finger spiders. They're so horrible. And then they make them like pale and pasty and shit in the DLC. It's just worse.
Yeah.
Where are you?
I'm right here.
Oh, you're already riding?
Oh, no, I'm like behind you now. But okay.
Okay. Make sure you rest to get rid of your essence or whatever. Because you were invisible on my screen.
I think I did. I'm pretty sure I did.
The hell was that monstrosity? Babe, it's one of the hand spiders. So you've seen them before. I know you have. I've shown them many, many times.
Yeah, I think I got decay as a raw essence.
Yeah, I don't know what I got, but I rested immediately, so.
Yeah, same.
I'm gonna go get my shit back. Can you see me? Because I can't see you.
I can see you. Yeah, you literally rode off, and I was like, okay, cool.
Oh, yeah, because I thought you were already riding off. That's why I was going this way.
Yeah, no, I'm behind you. But I can see you.
Okay. As long as you can see me, that's all that really matters. Ow. If you come up here, though, there's another one of those coffins you'll want to put a marker down on.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Hand spiders, piece of shit.
Open the map, don't I?
No.
Do I open the map? Oh, I can't open the map because I'm in combat, that's why. Yeah, okay, cool.
Fuck you. Ow, fuck off, Master Hand.
Nice.
Fucking Master Hand piece of shit. Get the fuck out of here.
Okay. Marker?
Tribbles. Triples with the hand emote.
I put another mark on the other one. Yeah.
Beb?
Oh, I did.
What'd you
I
say?
did. Sorry, I was just checking if I put a marker on the other coffin that we found the other last couple streams. I did.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so, yeah. So, you put a marker down here?
Yeah.
Cool. And get my sword back, and back on the pony. Let's fucking go. We need to get to there, which is the center of the finger rune.
Oh,
so
I can see that
finger...
mark. I can see that ping.
Oh, you can see the marker now? Fuck yeah, let's go! Quality of life updates. They actually make things make sense. Oh god, no.
So many things are working for me now. I can see markers.
Huh?
I can quit the game now. It's great.
Right? You can do basic things now. Holy shit, it's a miracle.
Can't wait for it to be broken in the next update.
Right. Give them another week. Or,
Yeah.
4 days or whatever, and they'll break it.
Yeah.
Fuck!
Oh,
I got knocked off the horse because of gravity magic.
Oh.
Ah, get away from me! No, stop eating my face!
Oh. Yeah, that's happened to me now.
Off of me, you worm piece of shit.
Yeah, I'm fucked. Oh, no, okay. No.
Fuck off.
Fuck.
You're the one that ate me, so fuck you. You get the special treatment. Stab him
For
in the
fuck's
head.
sake.
What? Are you being devoured? God!
Yeah. They shoot it from so far away.
Mm-hmm.
Holy fuck.
Ow.
Oh, please don't.
Fuck off with this.
Nice.
Bro.
Oh, how do you even
Fucking
dodge
stop
that?
shooting me. Huh?
How do you even dodge that?
I don't know. Bruh. Bro! I literally can't move! I keep getting hit with gravity magic. I keep getting hit with fucking gravity magic. No, fuck you.
Can I help me?
Thank
Oh,
you.
backstab.
Fucking Christ.
Okay, I'm nearly dead. I need to try and heal.
Yeah, I'm trying to get over to fucking kill the one that's shooting shit.
Yeah,
at
the
us.
one over. I see it now. 2. I think I can see there's 2.
There's only one. Ah! Only one shooting shit that I can see.
Oh no, it's just this one over here.
Hey. Hey, you.
Oh, fuck off with that.
Stop it. Stop it.
Hey. Oh.
Stop it. All of you die. All of you fucking die. Fuck out of here. I hate this place.
Oh, is this the thing we got a ring with the finger
Yep.
talisman thing?
Yep. The big bell that you have to,
Yeah.
or the big horn that you have to toot into
Yeah.
with the medallion. Yeah, that's literally why we're here.
Okay.
We're gonna do this, and then we're gonna fucking warp out so we can get the hell out of here. Fuck this place.
Sound hanging bell.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because that's the
Yeah,
second
you're,
one
like,
we've done.
not even here on my screen.
Yeah. It's like the second one we've done now. Oh, Cerulean Sea Talisman
yeah.
+1.
Yep. So now let's warp back to the Cathedral of Manus Mit here, and we'll go ahead and finish up this quest line, and I think we can call it at the end of this quest line because we're basically done.
Cool. What I'm gonna do is actually, I grab my souls. I did, yeah. I'm gonna just use up all my runes I have. I've got a few that are like really big amounts.
Yeah, just use your rune items to try to level up and stuff. Go for it. While you're doing that, I'm gonna go to the bathroom again.
Okay. One more, which is America rune. Wait, do I consume that one? Oh wait, I think I'll leave that one until... I do... I'll probably get dexterity again. Actually, vigor. We'll go vigor. It's been a minute since I've done that one. Extra health.
Okay.
So I got a Marika rune. Do I use that one as well?
If you want to, it's literally just another rune item.
Okay, I wasn't too sure. I thought it was like a quest item or something.
Yeah, no, it's like a quote unquote special rune item, but it's not like you can't do anything with it other than just use it for the runes. It has like lore behind it though, but other than that, it's Niz, what up, dude? How you doing? How
Okay.
you doing, Niz? How's it going? Not too bad. We're about to fight a remembrance boss here, and then we're probably gonna wrap up shortly after that. I think you've beaten this DLC, right? If you haven't, then this is your spoiler warning. But
Yes.
dealing with my buddy's memorial. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, man.
About
Yeah, 3 times now. Nice. Yeah,
25K
I have beaten
away.
it twice myself. I'm on my 3rd run, and I'm helping my buddy Welshie here
hello.
through his first playthrough of Elden Ring and the DLC.
Mm-hmm. I guess we go talk to the guy at the cathedral because that's what we did last time. Right?
Yes. Sorry, I was texting Faye real quick.
That's fine. I was
Doing
just
true SL1 Sekiro run right now. Good God.
Jesus
Why
fucking
do you hate
Christ.
yourself? So I realized someone will pop in and say hi before I go do that. No worries, man. I appreciate it. So Welshie, come over and talk to hot chick over here.
Yeah.
Hot goth mommy.
I've no
I
interest
just
in
beat Lady
companion,
Butterfly. Fuck.
but I must admit, Count Emir did seem very
Oh, she's like, I'm not interested in companionship, but there's an exception is in order. Oh, okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah, she's gonna be waifu.
Oh shit.
She's gonna be goth waifu.
Let us focus on our shared purpose.
I'm on Headless
Yeah.
Ape, of course, the owl. That'll be fun. Oh god, Headless Ape at soul level 1 is gonna be a nightmare, dude.
Now, be on your way.
My second.
Tell me to be on my way. Og, how you doing, buddy?
Once you've exhausted her dialogue, then
How you doing?
so he's not on the chair, which means come over here.
What?
Forgive me.
Yeah, come over to the side here, because if he's not on the chair,
He is on the chair.
I stopped at Ishin my first run. God.
He is on the chair.
Sekiro is the one Soulsborne game that I cannot play ever again, just because I can't keep up with the game. Everything moves too quickly for my reflexes to keep up with. So,
Your beloved child
here's
taken
Ymir if
before
you
his
wanna talk to
time.
him and yeah.
Oh, he's inside. He's on the chair for me.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, because for me, he's literally just sitting out here crying.
No, he's not. He's not outside crying for me.
Oh, well,
Oh, yeah. He's just giving me a map. What?
yeah, so fucking, yeah. Okay, yeah, talk to him if you can, or whatever.
Yeah, he's on the chair.
Oh yes.
I gotta struggle hell
I
on
believe
on that game.
brewing.
Parry based and Kai hadn't parried anything. Yeah, fucking, I can't
How you
do
doing, Smoke? How you doing,
parrying
buddy?
very well. Like, I can to a small extent, but it's rough. It's rough for me. I prefer blocking or dodging because the dodge timing is so much easier to get a hang on versus the parry window.
Okay. When I did
Chat will tell
when
him all the cheeses. Yeah, that's fair.
I did first walk up to him, he was like, he was like, I failed you or something. He just started muttering like he was failed someone.
Yeah, because he's not. So this is, I'm sure, a bug with the mod. He's not supposed to be over here right now. He's supposed to be outside, and he's basically on my end. He's like sitting over a gravestone,
Yeah.
mourning the loss of the little like hand spider that he was trying to birth. So, but yeah, come here. Because basically, how we reset this is we should be able to go rest, and he should like reappear on the chair, and then we'll be able to do what we need to. But you said he gave you the third map, right?
Yeah, he did.
Okay. So yeah, we should be able to catch you getting alive in hell for 4 hours. No worries, Niz. I appreciate you stopping by, bud. Good luck with your Sekiro level 1 run.
Okay, he is not on the chair now.
Okay, good. That's the important thing. So now, when you come over to the chair, you should see there's an examine prompt.
Yes, I'm doing it now.
Mm-hmm.
1 second. Oh, there's a button.
Good luck with this. Yeah, it shouldn't be too bad, Niz. I've got a pretty good build right now with the bear stuff that I'm rocking. So, and this sword is just disgustingly strong. So,
Okay. Yes, mate. How's Elden Ring going? Most experience I had with Soulsborne. Elden Ring's going great. Elden Ring's going okay. It's going okay.
Hey, Welsh, look where we're at now.
Oh, what the? Oh, you have got to be shitting me.
Oh man.
Am I in the inside of a finger now? Or
No,
something?
not exactly. You're in a secret finger ruins. You'll see. Just yeah.
That sounds
I'll
so.
explain everything that you're still confused by once we're done here, but
That sounds so dirty. Secret finger room.
secret finger ruins.
Oh, my sweet innocent mind.
Hey, look, my claws are better than yours, bitch. You missed. I didn't. Bear beat Night Claws.
Oh, nice. Recusant?
So, Night Anna, by the way, is the sister of Yolan.
Oh.
So, hot goth mommy upstairs. Fuck, I fell. Hot goth mommy upstairs is her sister, by the way.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. All right, so
Souls games is
before you blow this
Demon's.
horn.
Oh, Demon's Souls remake is the one you've had most experience with. Ah, okay.
Yeah, before you blow this horn, Welshie.
Awesome. Oh, it's gonna trigger a boss fight. Okay.
Yes, it's gonna send us somewhere.
Okay. But no, Elden Ring is going great. I'm playing with my buddy Ben, and he's just kind of carrying me everywhere.
I'm not carrying you everywhere. I mean, you've picked up the slack where I've left out sometimes, but I'm just showing you the path.
Yeah. I know,
trying to teach you how to actually play the game instead of just being like, and this is how strong I hit things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So look
fair.
at this monstrosity. Also, if you look up, you can see we're under all of the finger ruins.
Oh, goody. I really wanted to
Yeah.
know that. I really want to know that. I really did.
Uh-huh.
Why? Just
Yep. The way this boss moves is disgusting.
yeah. It just nearly one-shotted me from all the stamping it just did.
You have the hands of a
And
healer.
it throws out fingers.
You have the hands of a healer.
Ow! I can't fucking get close to it.
Oh, fuck off.
Bruh. Bro, I can't get into a decent spot for her at
Ow.
all.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. It's not very nice.
Yeah, so by the way, this is the mother of all fingers, which, the 2 fingers, the 3 fingers, all of them came from this bitch.
Oh,
all the
lovely.
finger runes you see upstairs and everything, all the
Lovely.
finger spiders, everything came from this bitch.
Okay.
Ow!
So she's to blame for everything?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and I will explain the lore behind this fucking fat turd in a minute.
Okay. Why is there Tomb Raider music playing?
Why is there what?
It sounds like the Tomb Raider theme is playing.
Oh god! Oh god! Oh god! Now she's fucking space magic. Ah!
I'm dead.
Ow.
One
Can't
shot.
move. Ah.
One shot. I did.
She's turning into a black hole, and I can't fucking do anything about it.
We might have fight her. Oh, she just popped down. Okay.
Yeah, she eventually.
How the that's fucking wild.
That actually
Yeah, that actually stopped. It's normally does it for longer, but
Ow!
ow.
Ow! Stop it. No! No! Jeez, ouchies! You know what? Hold on.
So close.
Can I... Motherfucker!
Oh, we got it off though.
Yeah, not enough though. Stop it!
That's nice. Well done.
Yeah, first try, and then she gets sucked into a space butthole.
Good. She fucking deserves to be there.
Yep.
My God.
Yeah, so that demon nightmare fucking monstrosity is the Mother of Fingers. Basically, when the Greater Will sent the Elden Beast to the Lands Between to assert its, will amongst everything.
Yeah.
And find, like, those worthy to become Empyreans, which are the ones that are chosen to become gods.
Right.
That's what the Empyreans are. Basically, when the Elden Beast landed, it communicated the Greater Will's will through the Mother of Fingers.
Right.
But if you read the description, I think, of the Mother of Fingers Remembrance, I think it is, it tells you that... Well, let's see what that says actually first.
I'm going to the birthing grounds because I get to.
Yeah. Yes. Where is it?
Oh, I have a lot of souls. Holy shit.
Yeah. Oh, do I not have it now? Oh, wait, no, there it is. Okay. So, the remembrance reads, the remembrance of the Mother of Fingers hewn into the shadow tree. The mother of all Two Fingers and Finger Creepers was in turn a magnificently gleaming daughter of the Greater Will, and the first shooting star to fall upon the Lands Between. So technically, that's what it is. I had it wrong. It's the Greater Will sent the Mother of Fingers to the Lands Between, and then the second meteor that it sent to the Lands Between was the Elden Beast, which is the final boss of the game.
Right.
So it's not the remembrance that has the lore to it. I think it's maybe the staff. I don't remember. But basically, the Greater Will communed its will through the Mother of Fingers, who then sent passed the message on to all of the Two Fingers.
Yeah.
But at some point, and everybody, we don't really have clarification on when, but everybody assumes it's when it's like well before America broke the Elden Ring.
Right.
At some point, the Greater Will just kind of said, "Okay, I'm fucking off. You guys, whatever. Like, peace out, bitches."
Yeah,
just,
you got this.
Without saying anything, kind of left and stopped communing with the Mother of Fingers.
Right.
So the Mother of Fingers just decided basically to keep sending messages under the guise of the Greater Will's will to the Two Fingers without actually having any guidance from the Greater Will, basically falsifying everything that the Two Fingers have told you to do.
Right.
So it's, if you remember back in the base game, the White Mask Vare guy that was telling us, like, there's something fishy about the Two Fingers. This is kind of playing more into that, trying to get you to realize that the Two Fingers are not what they seem.
Right.
that the main form of guidance that you think is supposed to be the just and true and correct path to take through the Lands Between is misguided in and of itself.
Right. Okay. So, like, the Two Fingers, like, they're established in the base game, right? Or is it just...
Yes, the Two Fingers are what the Finger Maiden Crone back at Round Table are.
Right, yeah.
Like, it's what she's communing with, that literally she's supposed to be telling you, like, the Two Fingers want you to do this, basically.
Yeah. Right.
But that message that says, the Two Fingers want you to do this comes
it's
from
actually...
Mother of Fingers, who in turn is generating her own, orders,
bullshit,
basically. She's not communing the Greater Will's orders anymore. She's doing it on her own because the Greater Will has abandoned the Mother of Fingers.
Right. Okie doke. Cool.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of information, though.
Yes. Big lore dump.
Big lord dump.
Her weapon is rather interesting.
Okay, do I really want to see it at this point?
Yes.
Okay, let's go to. I'm going to go to round table then.
Okay. Well, I was gonna show you the thing, but yeah, make the melee weapon. You can see that so that you can read the description, and then I'll read you the description of the staff because I think I have the staff. I have to check.
Come on, just jump on the.
No, that's counting your staff.
I have the Gaius one as well. Oh, I can get a sword lance. Ooh, that sounds quite
It's
nice.
not very good, but you technically can.
I mean, yeah, I'll get it. Just why not?
Right.
So the
yeah,
staff.
go ahead and make the melee weapon from the Mother of Fingers remembrance.
Oh, the gazing finger.
Yeah, and read the description of that thing.
Oh, it's her head. Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah, it's literally her head, and the stick that you hold is the spine.
Oh, wait. Huh?
Like, the stick part that you hold when you have the weapon equipped is, like, the spine attached to the head. Like, you literally just, like, ripped her head off and made a mace out of it.
I'm getting invaded in the fucking round table?
No, I just rested at the side of Grace.
Okay, I can't talk to anybody now.
Oh, sorry. You might have to leave and then come back.
Fine.
Sorry about that.
Well, I'll see if I rest and that makes a difference.
Yeah. If it lets you rest, then try that.
Yeah, it let me rest, so that's fine.
Okay, cool.
Oh, the finger crim's in the right position now. She's not floating 10 feet in the air. That's good.
Nice. Yeah, sorry. I kind of forgot about...
Yeah, no, you're good, you're good. It just caught me off guard a little bit.
The round table and how finicky the round table is.
No, I'm not staying long. I'm going to stream, so just wanted to see how Elden Ring's going. It's going good. We just defeated a couple of bosses.
We have like 15 minutes left of this storyline, so I figure we'll just go ahead and wrap this storyline up and then call it there.
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good. Where am I going?
Well, if you're done at the round table, go ahead and warp back to the Cathedral of Manus Metir and read the description for the...
Oh, the melee weapon.
Yeah. And then I have to go to round table so that I can make the staff and read you the description of that so that you can get the other half.
Good. Right. So, the gazing finger. The head of Metir, the finger mother, wielded as a weapon without modification. From within the center of the fingerprint that wrinkles the creature's foremost protrusion, a tiny wart-like eye gazes vacantly into the beyond. Okay. Which, I mean, that makes sense.
About Queen America.
I can't scroll. Why can't I?
Power from Remembrance.
Oh, unique skill. Kotoa's Resentment.
Staff of the
Skill performed as a violent bow using a finger's foremost protrusion. Resentment builds as it's forced to bow, making it explode with anger. Hold button down to further increase resentment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's a charged weapon art, basically.
Okay. And the Sword Lance. A weapon once wielded by Commander Gaius, a combination of great sword and lance. Weighty and capable of being brought to bear with great force, this armament shows its true potential when used astride a mount. Gaius himself was never without his boar. Which is fair, because he doesn't have any legs. But, you know.
Yeah, exactly. They literally, like, bolted him to the boar.
Yeah. Claws of the bottomless black, from which no light can escape. Wielded by Anna, Sword Hand of Night. Engraved with a smith script, enabling strong attacks to launch all three claws at a target. The blade is only semi-corporeal, and cannot be fully guarded against. Ooh.
Yes, so the weapons of night are unblockable.
Yeah, they're like magic almost.
Yeah, they're literally made of pure darkness, and they hit through shields and blocks and stuff, no matter what.
That's fucking mental.
Yeah, it's kind of gross. People use them a lot in PvP because of that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Right, yeah, I'm here now, so...
Sorry, I'm leveling up my sword the rest of the way, and a couple of others.
I got any runes? No, I don't. Okay.
Got any grapes?
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah. Bum,
Waddled
bum,
away to the very next day.
And waddled away. I'm so glad you knew exactly what I was.
Yeah, I remember that in school. That was.
And
that
then
was
this
funny.
is the description for the staff of the Great Beyond. So
Okay.
it is the staff fashioned from the tail fingers of Metyr, the mother of fingers, and the microcosm raised aloft over the crooks they form. Catalyst for casting both sorceries and incantations, the mother received signs from the greater will from the beyond of the microcosm. Despite being broken and abandoned, she kept waiting for another message to come. So there's
Wow.
the description that gives you the she was abandoned by the greater will.
Yeah, but she's still waiting for a message to come.
Yep. So she still
Oh.
eagerly awaits orders from the greater will that has clearly abandoned her. And in the meantime, she makes her own shit up because she doesn't know
Why
what
not?
else to do.
Goth Lady's not here, by the way.
Correct.
I'm guessing because we killed her sister.
No, I will be there in a moment. Just don't wander too far because you don't want to trigger anything until I get here.
I just walked up to the pillar where she normally stands.
Okay, cool. So yeah, we'll go do this because this is literally like the end of this quest line. Is what we're about to do here.
Okay.
So you should be able to come over here and then.
Examine. Yep.
No, as we go back towards the bonfire now, you should get, like, invaded or something? No, is it gonna do this? Because... Fuck, man, this is what I was hoping against.
Oh, because you've already done it.
This is why I hate that they made so many of the NPC quests fucking invasion-based in this DLC.
Yeah,
This is what I was really, really hoping would not happen.
Yeah, because the thing is closed, isn't it? This bit's closed.
Huh?
Enemy closed?
What have you?
Oh, here we go.
Oh, there we go. Oh, perfect. Perfect. Maybe you did have to examine it. Okay.
No, I didn't press
Sweet.
examine. I didn't press examine.
No, I did.
We gotta kill her, no.
We have to kill her invasion.
Ah, right, okay.
Yeah, don't be using your fucking wing stance on me, bitch. I am better than you.
Fine mother. You will be.
Okay.
That's...
And then
that's
there's
Ymir.
Ymir. This is the fight we were waiting for. Piece
Wait,
of shit.
huh? I will be the true mother. Oh, he's trying to be
Yeah.
the mother of fingers.
Yeah, see, look at his look at his chest. Like
Oh,
while you're wailing on him,
oh
you see
my
his
God,
chest.
yeah,
He's
yeah,
got
yeah,
like
yeah.
all the fingers on his chest now.
Yeah. So he's trying to take over from the mother of fingers.
Yep. Yeah, that's kind of the whole point. Is he was trying to become the new Mother of Fingers because he realized that the original Mother of Fingers was corrupted and,
Yeah, and
basically
Mike was
spouting nonsense.
Yeah.
So he wanted to take over her role.
Basically. Having fucking I don't know. Oh, I got his bell.
Yeah,
bearing.
I know. It's really like gross and shit, but yeah.
I got his bell bearing, by the way.
Good. Yeah, so you take his bell bearing to the Twin Husks, and you can buy all the spells that he was selling.
Nice.
If you want to buy his sorceries. So, one last thing now. So, do you want to summon Goth Mommy as a Spirit Ash, or do you want her Sword of Night that was the darkness sword that gave you the wing stance?
I probably want the sword.
Okay. So then you just let me look it up just to make sure I'm not giving you wrong information here.
Probably the sword. Yeah, I'm not really much into. I know like summoning her would be quite nice, but
yeah.
I feel like I'm gonna get more use out of the sword.
You need to give her the Iris of Occultation to get the Sword of Night.
Okay. Give who? Her?
Yes. So, we should be able to...
Oh, she's there.
Over here now.
She's chilling.
You see her body. She'll give you some final words here, and then you'll give her the Iris of Occultation. So don't, like, spam through it, because it'll give you both options for the Grace and the Occultation.
Okay.
You need to give her the Iris of Occultation.
Okay.
I see them not.
Use the Iris of Occultation. Right, okay.
Yep. My character's walking over like it was gonna make me do the animation.
Anywhere at all. This is the night I know.
Oh, so that means you just shown like pure darkness to her, so she's like, oh,
Yes,
there's
you've
no light.
effectively blinded her by
Yeah.
making it so she only sees pure darkness, and then.
Sword of
But
Night.
that's what you want because
Yeah.
she was born of the night.
Yeah, she's born of the darkness. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be
So, but there
silly.
you go. You got your sword of night, and now if you have the stats to wield the katana, you can use the
It's
weapon art for it.
20 dexterity and 11 strength you need.
Yeah. So if you can wield it properly, you can do the we can't do it in this specific room because no fighting in here. But you can do the wing stance that then leads to the unblockable slashes.
That is nice.
Yeah.
Just the one. Yeah, it's just one-handed, isn't it? So I'd have to have something. In the other
Yes.
hand.
So you can dual wield it with other katanas if you wanted to, like Rivers of Blood or one of the other
What katana?
weapons or something. You can dual wield it
I got
with another regular katana and get like the
okay.
full katana set. Hell, you could dual wield it with the Hand of Millennia if you wanted to. Which the Hand of Millennia is the one that does the waterfowl dance where you do this shit.
I don't have another katana. I have great katanas, but I don't have a normal katana.
That's surprising, actually. I could have sworn that.
I just looked in my inventory now.
But it's fine. It's not like a huge deal because I doubt you're going to change up your build immensely just to use that sword. But now you have a cool sword if you ever did want to use it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably level it up.
Yeah, it is worth. It is worth to an extent. It's not great against like bosses, but it is worth it to an extent to use just because of the fact that like it's unblockable. So like if you need to get through an enemy that's really heavy on just blocking all of your damage,
just pull that out and
or
be like,
just
fuck
blocking
you.
your attacks, you could use that to just kind of melt through them real quick. So yeah.
Okay. And I mean,
But yeah, and that is the end of this quest line. I think the only other thing now is if you come. You went back to Round Table?
Yeah, just very quickly.
Okay, yeah. Once you're done with that, go ahead and head back to the church there and come back out to the like graveyard area that's beside the building.
Oh yeah. Where we went before, yeah.
There should be one more item for you to pick up.
I need for the katana. I need a somber smithing stone 1, which I don't have. Okay.
You might be able to buy those actually, because I thought we got some of that stuff.
Yeah, I looked at the bell bearing shop people and the Twin Husks, and they don't have somber smithing stones.
So then we didn't get any of the somber bell bearings. I thought we did though, but I guess maybe not.
I know there's that blacksmith you can go to, can't you?
Yeah, but the blacksmith doesn't sell those stones.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Or are you talking about EG? Because if you're talking about EG, yeah, he might sell.
Yeah, I think he does up to 4.
Sell those.
I think it's up to 4 he does. Yeah. I'll try and find him now. It was before a.
So EG is.
Yeah, Road to the Manor. Yeah, I found it.
Yes.
I got it.
Yeah.
Well, without geometry, life is pointless. Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ. Oh.
What's a penguin's favorite relative? Antarctica.
Wow, my Pokeketch didn't go through. I'm sad.
Yeah, he has some smithing stone 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Okay, well there you go. You can buy some. I'm just chilling next to where your item pickup is.
Wait, can he strengthen them for me as well?
Huh?
Can he strengthen them for me? Oh, he can he? Yeah, he can.
I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah, he can.
Oh, cool. Well, there you go.
Saves me going back to Round Table.
Yeah.
Nice. So it's now +6.
Nice.
But yeah, I got backhand blades.
Those were the ones that
I used before that I put frost damage on them.
Those are the ones that I showed you like at the very beginning that you were using for a while because of how quick they were and stuff, how fun they are. Yeah.
I think we might be getting invaded because I can't do anything.
Oh, I don't know.
I can't rest, so unless it's just having a moment.
Yeah, no, it's telling me can't do anything during multiplayer as well, so maybe. Although if you're getting invaded over there,
it's fine.
Great.
It's fine now. It's fine now.
Oh, you can do it now.
Oh, the fuck? Oh,
Wow.
oh. Never mind. Sorry. I was, I think I walked into a ruin and I was getting attacked. Where am I going, sorry?
To the Church of Manus Metyr.
Yep. Oh, yeah, and you got the graveyard. Yeah, that's fine.
Yep. Yeah, we're gonna go get to your last item here. That'll completely 100% finish out this quest line, which is good. I'm happy that we were able to do this one properly at least, because this is the big, long, tedious one. The only other side quests we really have to do now are the Miquella's followers. So, which there's a lot to each of those because they all have their own different side quests, but they're all like intertwined with each other. So I'll let you kind of decide who you want to necessarily work with or for or whatever with those. But we will go next time. I think what we'll do is we'll go do Telia stuff because that leads to another remembrance boss at least. So that way you can at least get all of the like major bosses out of the DLC and whatnot. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Plus, then you'll finally get introduced to Saint Trina, which I know we talked about quite a few weeks ago now, and how Saint Trina is Miquella's like other half, like his alter ego, that was the like embodiment of sleep, of eternal sleep.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Nice.
But anyways, oops.
I'm going to walk to Gravesite Plain. I think that's probably the best place to go. Yeah, I don't need to do anything. I need to level up, actually, because I only got a leg.
Go for it. I'm going to leave your game and head back to mine. Ow. So that I can leave you here and we'll call it a day.
Nice. Okay, so Vigor's gone up to 44. Just pump some more dexterity now. So that's 52.
Nice. So 60 is kind of that first like major cap for dexterity, like, or like the next major cap for dexterity and strength. So if you want to just like if you want damage,
just pump
get
those to
dexterity
60
and strength to 60 each, and then if you want more health, then get vigor to like 60.
And my vigor's like 40.
60 is kind of what people generally go with for vigor.
Yeah, my vigor's like 44 at the minute.
Yeah, so that's pretty good. I think I have mine maxed out simply because I have the extra levels and I wanted the extra health when dealing with all this bullshit.
That's fair. I am now level 150.
Nice. You're technically at the like meta recommendation for the DLC is 150. Most people are leveling above that though, just so that they have the levels to throw around where they want.
Right.
So.
See why I can't. See, now it's grayed out now. What the fuck?
What?
The quit button.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's grayed out again for me now. It was working earlier when I tested it.
Maybe because we connected to each other, maybe?
Maybe, yeah, maybe. And it's.
I don't know.
I've just locked it back up again, so I don't know. We'll see.
I want to say you could try like disabling the pot to see if that lets you quit the game again.
Yeah, that's what I've just done now. I've disabled the pot, so maybe if I fast travel somewhere.
Maybe fast travel and rest and see if it like resets things.
Yeah, if I fast travel to round table. Felt that curse from Ben from across the streams.
Wait, what?
Oh, when I said those last few jokes, he felt the like.
Oh, yeah.
Felt it from here. It's still grayed out.
Man, whatever. Maybe one of these days they'll fix that.
Yeah. Maybe it's like a timer thing. I don't know. Maybe like you gotta like.
I don't know. I mean, it could have been as well that you didn't get it, like that it wasn't grayed out before because I wasn't in your game yet. Because remember, that was what was screwing with it before, was the fact that like once we had connected to each other, then it didn't let us quit out. So.
Yeah. Because like I said, when I checked earlier on my own, just testing the mod and stuff, it would let me quit fine. So.
Yeah, which it's always let me quit like on my own. It was when you joined into my world that it would
it'd be like hang on,
like
yeah.
that, and I always joined into your world, so that would explain why it doesn't let you quit out of the game normally. So
that's
but
fair.
I don't know. Maybe one day they'll fix that.
Maybe one day they'll fix it. I need some Smithing Stone 7. I need to keep an eye out for that.
Yes. Yeah,
I can get
and
a
if we
couple.
need to, at some point, we can go back to base game to try to get some of the stones and stuff if you need to.
Yeah, I'm just thinking more for like the weapons I have and like the ghost gloveworts for my mimic. Just kind of,
Yeah.
if I can get one or two of the right ones, then I can level up like 3-4 times, and it's just like, yeah, it's so much easier.
Yeah, because you've got all of the subsequent ones. You just don't have the
Yeah,
one.
especially for
currently.
especially for the somber smithing stones. Like if I get like two somber smithing stone 7s, I can get the the great swords I'm using now. I can get that maxed out.
Yeah.
And then I can get the sword of night maxed out, katana of night maxed out, if need be. If I wanted to use it with another katana, if I pick one up. So.
But
just gotta find
that
another katana.
was good. We made a decent amount of progress. We need to do the rest of Shadow Keep so you can fight Daddy Mesmer, and then the other area right after Shadow Keep, and then that's basically it. That'll put us at the last section of the DLC after that.
Nice.
So, yeah,
making good progress.
Making good progress. You feeling better now than you were when we started, though, about like how much damage you can actually deal and stuff? You're not just like poking things with sticks anymore.
I will say, normal enemies, I feel like I'm actually making a contribution and like hitting them and killing them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even with the bosses, like you are still dealing damage.
Yeah.
As well as whenever, like, if I frostbite something and you hit it with the flame from your weapon art.
Yeah.
It resets the frostbite meter. So like if you hit it with fire after I've frostbitten it, that immediately resets the frostbite.
So you can just go again. Yeah.
So
it's
definitely helping. You might not necessarily be doing like as much damage as I am, technically speaking, but you're definitely helping the damage output with.
Yeah. I think the last couple of bosses and enemies and stuff is I think I've started to notice a bit more. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm starting to dish out a little bit better, you know.
Exactly. I mean, like I've always said with these games, it's all about like practice and patience. So. Yeah. But yeah, thanks for playing today, Welshie. Thanks for having me. We're gonna
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me as well.
Yeah, we'll see you next week. I'll have to get with you because next Saturday, I'm actually working, and then my schedule from then on, I'm probably going to be working Saturdays, so we might have to shift to Fridays if that's all right. But
yeah, that's all okay with me.
On that. Yeah, I will get with you about that later.
No worries.
Figure all the logistics out next time. So. But yeah, later everybody.
Yes, appreciate the lurk, Minecraft. We're just wrapping up now. Apologies. But yeah, thank you, Ben, and I will catch you soon.
Have a good one, bud.
I will. You too, buddy. All right. Okay. Oh, well, I appreciate Ben for having me and trying to. We did beat some bosses, so that was nice. That was very nice. Who are we gonna raid out to? I got some. Maybe. Just looking through here. What I'm seeing. But yeah, appreciate everyone popping in for stream. I say apologies if I wasn't as chatty as I normally was. It's just Elden Ring needs my full attention, otherwise I will just like fucking get killed every 2 seconds. So yeah. Yeah. We're gonna rate someone new, I think, today. We're gonna read somebody I met through Rocket Joe, part of his I guess stream team. Yeah. She's really cool. And that is Mint Artifact. She's like I think she's part of Raven Arms stream team, so she's very like pirate themed, but she does a lot of cosplays and stuff. And yeah, she's a cool place to hang out. So I'm gonna go. We're gonna go say hi to her. Again, someone new, just branching out the old the networking. You know what I mean? So yeah, we're gonna read out to her, and I will catch you all next time. I don't know when that will be. Worst case scenario, it's probably Monday. With Horizon Forbidden West. But if there's a cheeky Sunday stream, then be a cheeky Sunday stream. So we'll see. We'll see. But until then, take care, everybody. Stay safe, and I will see you all next time again. Thank you, Ben. I know he's probably still playing, but big shout out to Ben as well. I'll give him a little another shout out. If you want to go hang out with Ben, I think he's doing more Elden Ring stuff. So yeah, let's do the thing. So I will see you all next time. Let's go say hi to Mint. So let me just start the raid real quick. I know how to stream. I think that's how you spell her name. Please say that's right. Yeah, that's right. Thank God. I know you can cancel the raid, but I dread like putting the wrong names in. But yeah, until next time, everybody. I hope you all take care of yourselves and have a good weekend if I don't see you. And yeah, I will see you on the next stream. But until then, good night, everybody. Good night. Goodbye for now.